I had makeup last time, but the pins did not work very well, so I got rid of them. And I don't feel like putting on makeup. No, my hair is not half done. I just don't have enough of this to do my whole head. So this is what we're doing. When I'm not at work, I get to be stupid with my hair because, you know, who cares? I put boys and girls and pearls for the introduction. This was written before COVID, so... or no, it was written during COVID when I was still optimistic about the state of the world, so...
Yeah.
So, the format of this video is going to be a little different from the last Stab and Skedaddle, because the games are different once you hit Origins. The games are formatted differently, so of course my review is going to be formatted differently, and also we no longer have Desmond. Okay. I'm sorry, there's just a lot, and I don't like it. We're also re-recording this because he didn't talk enough when we first recorded it, so...
Yep, I intend on fixing that.
You need to have more of an opinion. This isn't going to be any different from my book reviews, though. I'm still going to be looking at my notes, so there will be long stretches of silence that I will not cut out because I don't feel like editing these videos. Maybe I'll edit it like a little bit if the stretch of silence is like more than like a minute and 30 seconds. Maybe I'll edit it out, but other than that, I don't care.
Can't be asked.
No, I really can't. So, not all of these games are good.
That goes without saying.
People are coming back around to Unity. Syndicate, I think, is just like a null void for most people. And then, or people like Origins, I don't care what people have to say about Odyssey and Valhalla, because what I felt while playing those games takes precedence. Yeah, a lot of my complaints will be leveled at the plot and the gameplay, not necessarily at the playable assassins, except for one playable character, because she's not an assassin, she's a playable character.
Yep.
I should mention that I thought about watching the movie, but I watched the Dune movies, so I'm not doing that. Anyway, I'm talking about Unity, Syndicate, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, and Mirage is coming out in October, like October 20th or something like, or no, Spider-Man 2 is coming out on October 20th, and Mirage is coming out like a week before, so if Mirage isn't good, it will be swiftly abandoned for Spider-Man 2, and I don't know when that review will come out, because I'll be playing Spider-Man 2.
So far, based off of what people have been saying, there is one very slightly, if that redeeming factor, is people are saying the map is the smallest it's been in years, so...
Like the size of Revelations map.
Take that with a grain of salt. Let's hope that they actually work on
that. Yeah. So, I'm also going to talk about some hope for the future, which I guess the future is in, what, 3 months? So, 4 months, because we're in 6 right now. So yeah, the future is in 4 months. I don't know. This is what happens when you take too long to record and put these videos out, so... I did my hair today, and it smells like my hair goops, which is really fun, because I put it on the part of my hair that's got, the part of these braids that's got my hair in it, so if I swing it, then I get a whiff of my hair goops. That was very unflattering. Anyway, yeah, so... I hope someone watches these or falls asleep to them or cooks dinner to them or drives to their destination to them, because this was a lot of filming, and like I know I didn't have to do this, but I wanted to because screw it, right? This is going to be a lot harder given that I now curse less in my videos.
Oh, well.
I mean, you know...
I mean, but we're talking about...
If someone at one of the schools that I work at finds these, I don't want them to be like, oh, she's, like, terrible. Granted, I'm not in front of the students. I don't curse in front of the kids.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There's the third person in here with us, and they have their hand raised.
Yes. Suggestion. Come up with colorful ways to curse, like, you heckin' cactus. That one is from Dark Willow.
Ah.
Heckin' cactus. Anyway, yeah. This should be a podcast, honestly. There's no reason for you to see my face when I'm talking about this stuff. I don't have any gameplay in here or anything. My sister's offered to help several times, but I'm like, you have a real job.
All I have is fluff.
People film their podcasts though, so yeah. I like 3 out of these 5 games, and I will get heated. This is your warning now. If you like, colorful metaphors aside, if you don't like excessive cursing, you're probably gonna want to skip out on Odyssey and Valhalla because I get heated. Those games are terrible. Yeah. You may also note that there is no rhyme or reason to how I discuss these like there was in the last game where I tried to keep a relative order. That's because I just... Those other games I've played so many times that it was easy. I have replayed Unity and it was a slog when I did it. And then I replayed Syndicate and that wasn't that bad, but I don't want to replay those games again. I still want to replay Assassin's Creed 4. I don't want to replay Syndicate again. And like I replayed Origins as well. It was fine, but that game's bloated. We'll get to it. Yeah, so here we go. So I titled this section Burning the Candle at Both Ends. This is for Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity came out in 2014, and I have a lot to say. Arnaud Dorian is our playable assassin on a quest to avenge his father figure, Grandmaster de la Serre, who is a Templar, who is the Grand Master of the Templars. He aligns with the assassins while his lady love, Elise de la Serre, don't ask, I know I said that's his father figure, is a Templar against the current Templars. So we're like Southern Democrats, Northern Democrats in this in this piece. Yeah, this is gonna be a mess. So the game takes 78.5 hours to fully finish, and the main quest is 16.5 hours. The title of the game got leaked at some point. I don't really remember that. I remember a lot of the hype for this game, because, you know, you can play with your friends was like the whole selling point. It's not good. There's multiplayer, but it's online only. There's something to be said about like single players like me and couch co-op being for a thing of the past, which is really sad because like couch co-op was the best. So, but whatever, I guess. This is the progression of video games. Oh, also, can I just say that there are people who are really upset that Spider-Man 2 is not going to be on PlayStation 4, and it's like, y'all, I know that COVID messed with how we view a lot of things, but this is the progression of video games. Consoles go, we stop making games for old consoles and we move on to the next generation. Everybody calm down.
I mean, now that we've finally got the supply under wraps, it might be time to move on.
Like this is the progression of video games. They're not still making games for the 3DS after the Switch came out. At least I think they were for like a little bit, but we're Switch now. Everybody calm down. Anyway, yeah, there's multiplayer, but it's online only. There was a mobile app too. I played it for like a second. It sucked. The counter button and the super aggressive guards were removed, which I guess removing the counter button was their answer to removing the super aggressive guards, even though Arno's very flowy style of fight is very conducive to having a counter button. But I guess they decided that being able to do that in the older games made you kind of OP because then no one could attack you as long as you kept pressing the counter button. Not in the first game, but the first game is a different beast altogether.
Yes, it is.
This game's release was a mess. Goodbye hair, goodbye faces, goodbye props, phasing through walls, phasing through water, phasing through the ground, and the ragdoll mechanics get a little bit, ragdolly.
Dentists love this game, though.
Dentists?
Because all you could see were eyes and teeth.
Why would dentists like eyes?
Well, all you can see apart from the eyes are teeth.
I saw a really gross thing on TikTok that was like, imagine if your dentist said open your mouth and he spit in it. And it was like, I'd really rather not imagine that, thanks. But if I have to suffer, so do you. Okay. People hated this game. Like, I don't know if any of the hate was necessarily given to the plot. People hated this game. The launch was ridiculous. But when a game's launch is ridiculous, it gets really difficult to know the plot. How many people who haven't actually played the game know the plot of Cyberpunk 77? Because I don't. Like, unless you played the game, how would you know what the plot is? Because everything got like, I don't even know what the plot to Fallout 76 is. All of the focus got put on the bugs and the exploits and...
There's a plot.
Yes, there's a plot. It's a Bethesda game. Of course there's a plot. It's probably stupid, but there's a plot. Anyway, this game got a lot of hate, and it still gets a lot of hate. People are coming around. Not all of the bugs have been worked out, but it's coming.
Relatively stable, especially as compared to launch.
Yeah, launch was bad. I was against getting an Xbox One for the longest time because I was like, I don't need that in my life because they don't have anything on there that I want to play, because I was already kind of upset with Ubisoft and tired of it after Assassin's Creed 4. And then COVID happened, and I got all of them, and I was like, hey, father figure, what is the difference between an Xbox One and an Xbox One X? And he said, I think he said, like, storage and the way the graphics look, and that was about it. And he was like, do you want one? And I was like, yeah. I'm, like, thinking about it, and he was like, I have an extra one. And I was just, of course you do. Don't shake your head. You've met him.
No, it's not shaking my head. It's just, of course you have an extra one.
My father was kind of a techie. If he had been born later, he probably would be doing like IT and probably would have invested in all of those startups and stuff. Yeah. So, which mechanics do I hate? Which mechanics do we hate? Do you even remember enough about this game to have a full opinion about it?
I don't remember enough. All I can say is it felt a little bit like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, where the physics were kind of tied to the frame rate. So...
Are Skyrim's physics tied to the frame rate?
I think it was also, like... Because it was running on the same engine as Fallout 4, I think.
It's what that has to do with what I don't know if like neurotypical people feel this, or like if you don't play games frequently, if you'll understand this. But like when a character doesn't have weight, I think that usually means that it's been tied to the frame rate. There's some like if you play a game like Gears of War, right? Despite the fact, aside from the fact that the characters are just big, bulky men, the characters have weight. And like playing as Ezio, he has weight, and like. You can kind of, it gets easier to judge what distances you're going to make and what distances you're not. With Arno, honestly, who knows? So the mechanics that I hated, the gun is an unlockable skill rather than a thing that you just get. Like, that was one of Edward's principal weapons in the 4th game. He had 2 of them. It was awesome. Eagle vision is on a timer, and I can't see where they walk anymore. Arno's parkour is fluid. While fluid is lacking. It being tied to the frame rate causes a lot of glitches, because if you're running at, what's a good frame rate?
So
just like a good one.
I think it's like either 30 or 60.
If you're running at 60 frames per second and your frame rate goes down, that means your character's glitch is worse than what it normally would have looked like.
So usually, like if the frame rate slows down, you'd find yourself not able to cross a gap you normally would. If your frame rate somehow spikes because your console gets the zoomies for whatever reason, you go flying.
You go flying in this game anyway.
Yeah.
Enemies are spaced as such that not being able to whistle is highly upsetting. There's no ambient noise, really? Like, in the festival area of Assassin's Creed 2, when you were walking around, you could hear, like, it's tinny, but you could hear, like, the little sparklers going off, and you could hear people talking.
An actual festival.
It felt alive, like there were people.
This felt dead.
It's not that it felt dead. Like, there's lots and lots of people, and they react to you and stuff. It's just, there's no ambient music. I also don't think there's any music. There's no ambient noise. I don't think there's any music. And if there is, it's not memorable. Getting into windows was aggravating. I never understood how the berserk feature worked. Like, they could poison each other with it, but then they could... I don't know. Yeah. On its face, the fort mechanic is gone. If you go on the map, it'll be like little areas that are, one of them says like captured or something like that, and the only one that doesn't say captured is the one where your base is. I never fully understood how that mechanic worked.
It's kind of just there to be there.
Like in Assassin's Creed 3, when they remastered it, because I think it's still in the base game, but when they remastered it, like the fort mechanic it's there, but not really. They just, when they put it on Switch and when they came out with the remastered edition, they just removed it entirely, like the lockpicking. They just removed it. Yeah. Sections on the map will say occupied, and I didn't know how to liberate them. Co-op looks like it's required, but you can do those missions by yourself. You just may not be able to do them as well. You can't get all of the perks without doing some of the co-op missions, which is ridiculous. They aren't designed to be done alone as well. They're kind of confusing. They also don't have any replay value. Hang on. The leveling system is broken. It's atrocious because you can completely bypass it with microtransactions.
Yep.
You level up by buying clothes, but they don't remind you to do that. So that's fun. The parts where you go to other time periods are also kind of annoying. The only saving grace is that it only happens 3 times by force. The World War II part is probably the worst in my opinion because of the planes. At the end, when fighting Germain, I don't think you can dodge every attack. I don't remember what my first playthrough was like, but upon second playthrough, I couldn't dodge every attack that he would send at me, which is stupid.
I mean, you're an assassin. You should be able to dodge
He
it.
can't see me. When I'm behind the pillars, he can't see me. Some of the hits you're just meant to take. The map is a gross, busy mess. It looks like if you were playing Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom and you used every single symbol that you could on your map, just all over the place. That's what it would look like. That's how that map feels.
That map feels
actually,
like a Where's Waldo puzzle.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. If you go on IGN's website, they have an interactive map for for Tears of the Kingdom. When you zoom out and look at the entire map, that's what Assassin's Creed Unity's map looks like all the time.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, that sounds like shit though.
It is.
Yeah. You also don't have to go to every area on the map to finish the game, and I understand that is a criticism that I make of this game. Meanwhile, it's something that I praise in one of the other games. That's because at least that one is pretty. This one's not. This one is bland and colorless.
Yep.
And it's French. During the French Revolution, there should be red all over the streets.
Yeah.
This game is grating. I'd rather play the first game because at least that map is cleaner and you go everywhere on the map. Like...
That's true. Multiple times.
The restricted sections are blue and red for the 2 types of enemy because there are the guards who are like loyal to France, and then there are the rebels who aren't loyal to you because the assassins aren't. I made a criticism in I think in like the first game where I was like stressing the fact that the historical event that these games are based on is happening separate from the player. I guess technically except for one, but it's not to its detriment. It's happening separately from the player, so the assassins aren't loyalists or rebels. They're just kind of there, and both of them will attack you if they see you. Why they have different colored restricted zones when 3 didn't do that, I have no idea. Yeah, I think that's everything for game mechanics that I hate. So what do I like? The eagle vision can see through walls. Crouching shows enemies on the mini-map. Quickfire, when it works, is cool. The blue side quests are easy money. There'll be like little blue... What's the 6-sided one? Hexagons. There'll be little blue hexagons on the map with the assassin symbol in it. Those are easy money. Not falling when I run into people is nice. Outside of missions and restricted area, guards aren't on the roofs, which is nice. The guillotine gun, which is DLC, that was pretty fun. Why are you laughing? No, it doesn't make any sense, but it's amazing. The guillotine gun.
That was, I think, one of the only times in which I ever enjoyed watching it.
It's awesome. It's kind of like a cannon, and it's kind of like just like a bayonet, but a cannon. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It functions as a 2-handed weapon, though, so no sword.
It doesn't matter. You have a...
Using the apple at the end of the DLC was also cool. I like that Eagle Vision is acknowledged as a skill and not just a game mechanic. Ezio's dad does that for like a second, but then like no one else really does except for James Kidd in the fourth one. They acknowledge it as a skill as well. Tailing someone and losing them doesn't cause desync. I just need to find them again, which is nice. Berserk Blades last a lot longer in this. I like being faceless in the real world. A lot of people didn't like that, which I thought was odd given what we're currently dealing with. But I liked being faceless because there was less barriers between me and Arno. Having Desmond there, while in retrospect I have come to really appreciate Desmond, especially in comparison to what we're dealing with now, like, I would, like, it's me being Arno, not me being Desmond being Ezio, you know? Rebecca and Sean are there as well. They unlock skill areas for you. So, like, some things you can't do until you do, like, Mission 7. After Mission 7, Rebecca and Sean will unlock that for you. Yeah, it makes it more personal. Yeah. I like that Eagle Vision in Sequence 11 hurts Arno's head because he's hungover. Guards can't climb, which is really nice. That's all for gameplay. I will now attempt to focus on the story. Okay. Also, the friend who's currently here complained about the outfits that people were wearing, to which I kind of want to just reply to that, like, you should see what Ezio wears. It's not on theme at all. Oh, like, their assassin outfits are the least of my concerns, honestly. I have a lot to say about the story. I'm gonna try to focus. I make no promises. Okay, here we go. I will try to just do this chronologically. So Arno bets his watch at the beginning of the game. That's how we meet him. He's like running from, that's how we meet adult Arno. He's running from somebody because he lost the bet, so he technically lost the watch, but he didn't want to lose the watch because it's his father's watch, so it's sentimental to him, so why did he bet the watch in the first place? Maybe I just don't understand gambling, but it's the only time in the game we see him gambling, and it's not like a vice of his, it's just a thing that he does. That's another thing. Like, Ezio, I keep going back to Ezio, that's just because he's the clearest in my head. Ezio's vice is women. His mother even comments on this. Yep. And all 3 games, something about a woman, like flirting with him or something like that, or him using his charms to trick Lucrezia. Ezio's vice comes through. Arno does not have that. I think he only looks at the watch like 3 times. Like, my guy. Yeah. Elise sends after he gets arrested, and it's like a whole thing, and then the storming of the Bastille, that's when Arno escapes. And he like learns about the assassins. Elise then, he goes to find her, and she sends him away because she thinks that he got Grandmaster de la Serre killed on purpose. He did not. He did not know the contents of the letter. Okay. Yeah, so she also then gets angry when he goes and becomes an assassin. And it's like, you rejected him. So where was he supposed to go? He didn't have any other family. His dad's dead. Don't know what happened to his mom. He didn't know what was in the letter, which is why he left it on the Grandmaster de la Serre's door. Like, if it was that important, the courier should have delivered it to him himself. Speaking of that prick, what was de la Serre's endgame? He knows that Arno comes from a family of assassins, but it doesn't seem like he made any attempt to indoctrinate Arno into the Templar Order, kind of like they did with Haytham. What was the end goal? Also, he's in love with your daughter, dude, so clearly you're not that much of a father figure to him. What was the end goal, sir? Like, you adopt the kid of an assassin after Shay killed said assassin and spend the next 20 years doing nothing to indoctrinate him. Shay and Haytham are prime examples of what can be accomplished when you take an assassin or a future assassin and turn them into a Templar. But whatever, I guess. The Assassin Council sucks. Bureaucracy annoys me in anything ever. They get mad at Arno for killing without much regard. so kick him out. Like, they knew he was a loose cannon. We don't get to kill Shay. I don't think we actually know what happens to Shay. In case anybody's wondering, that one Assassin's Creed game from the last video that I mentioned that I didn't play, Shay is the playable character in that one. I haven't played it because I don't want to watch Achilles be sad. So, yeah. Belek is an absolute moron. That's one of Arno's master assassins. I get that the point was probably for him to be wrong, but my guy, twisting the events of the first 5 games was an art form for him. Ooh. Like, Ezio and Connor didn't kill other assassins to achieve reforming the Brotherhood. Other assassins revealed themselves to not have the best interest of the Brotherhood in mind, and thus their deaths were as a result of some actions that we took. Like, I don't think there's ever a point where, like, we kill an assassin, especially as Connor. And, like, that first assassin that you kill is Edward. He was being a Templar, so...
What'd you think?
Well, I mean, the problem with this story is it was so convoluted, it was hard to follow. I hardly remember any of it. All I know is it's very frustrating, and just with a simple bit of common sense,
grating,
you could have avoided all this.
And Altair had to kill his mentor because he was corrupted by the apple. Like,
yeah,
that's the whole point. And this is why I don't like it when people haven't played Assassin's Creed Revelations and then want to talk about Altair, because you don't have the entire story. There's rumors that they're going to remaster the first one, which makes me very excited, but I'm also concerned because, listen, the story at this point has gotten really, really stupid at this point, and there are things that would ruin the continuity if they don't include it, but I will be so hyped if they remaster the first one, okay? Was that too much?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Pro tip also for that fight with Belek. You basically have to try and stun lock him, because if he gets away in the smoke, then he's going to come down and one-shot you. It's not fair, but yeah. There's a lot of council in action here, which is the problem with bureaucracy. Whatever, that's a different video. I need to find a book about that, and we'll talk about it later. Napoleon takes the apple, which we just don't talk about. Like, they get him later, obviously, but we're not going to talk about it in the moment.
No, it's cool. He just got the apple.
It's not cool. That's a mind control thing.
Yeah.
But he came back. The political involvement feels like the point in this game, which is not supposed to be the point. Connor, when he aligns with Washington, suffers consequences because he loses his people. Arno aligning himself with some of the, like, his views, they end up helping the rebels, essentially. That doesn't feel like it has any direct consequences, because Robespierre was always going to get his head cut off. Doesn't really matter who caused it. So it doesn't really feel like there are any, like, actual consequences. Whatever. Arno and co. dislike the revolution because it's tearing the country apart, despite it being what the people want, which is always what the assassins have stood for, but whatever. They care for the exploited, not the exploiters. Arno's actions directly affect history, which is not what's supposed to be happening. Connor doesn't actually fight any, like, major battles. And, like, sure, there's a part where you get to, like, control some of the American troops, but that is the worst part of the game, so I'm not going to talk about it. He doesn't, like, initiate history. Arno is the reason in the game why Robespierre gets his head cut off. Yeah.
The assassins are generally there to oversee history as it's happening.
They don't oversee history. The assassin is here. History is here. History's doing this.
Yeah, history's doing the thing. Meanwhile, the assassins are just... They're not getting directly involved. They're not picking sides.
That's why Machiavelli gives up being mentor of the assassins. Machiavelli gives it up because Machiavelli was a real person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of Germain, He's one of the incarnations of Juno's husband. Yeah, that amounts to nothing. Also a cardinal sin of gaming. A boss can do something with a weapon that I can't. That's dumb. I'm filming.
Oh, sorry.
And, like, yeah, I don't... If the weapon is overpowered when the boss has it, but not overpowered when I have it, that's unbalanced. Speaking of the weapon, in every other game, finding the artifact is important. It's like the whole point. Not in this game. We find the sword, and then it's just like a regular sword. It's one of the strongest weapons in the game. Not better than the guillotine gun, but it's one of the strongest weapons in the game. The Sword of Eden is kind of incidental to this game, which is a total afterthought, which is dumb given how much importance the prologue gave it. The modern day assassins aren't even looking for it. They want Germaine, which is really dumb. You get the Master Assassin armor despite having been kicked out. And what I later discovered is that scene at the very end of the main story is supposed to take place 2 to 3 years after the events of the game. That is not really made clear. And it's also, and even if it is made clear and I just don't remember, why weren't we shown him getting his assassin status back? Because he lost it at the end of the game and never gets it back. As far as you know, especially if you don't play the DLC, as far as you know, he never got it back. And even then, it's not entirely clear how he gets it back by the end of the DLC. DLC was fun though, probably because it wasn't bloated. I don't understand why Arno got mad for being kicked out. I don't understand why he kept the hidden blade. He also doesn't like rules. So what's the malfunction? If you still have the hidden blade and you still want to do this for Elise, go do it. Yeah. Reading. Hang on.
The story was not fun.
No. In a novel, it says Arno gave them letters by Hatham and Elise. Okay. I'm not sure how that gets them back into the Brotherhood. Like, they're assassins. They could just kill Arno and take the letters. Could they not? I don't like when important details are left out of my AAA game.
It was a AAA game.
Lots of RPGs with factions have a kick-out mechanic. In Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, in Oblivion, if you are part of the Mages Guild and you kill somebody in the Mages Guild, which is actually a function of the Dark Brotherhood quest, so this will happen to you if you join the Mages Guild before you join the Dark Brotherhood, or at least before you do this mission. Well, no, yeah, it will. If you join the Mages Guild first, no matter where you are in the story, if you do this Dark Brotherhood mission, then you are going to get kicked out. And you have to it's something like stupid. You have to collect like 30 Daedra hearts, but you got kicked out, so it's supposed to be a punishment. Kind of unfair, but this isn't about Oblivion. Apparently the letters were enough, though. I'm not even sure where he found them.
Maybe they were in his other pants pocket.
They were in his other steak?
Yep.
Yeah. I do like some stuff. I promise. Arno's funny. No power in heaven or hell will make me answer that question.
That's great.
And when he says, this isn't the first castle I've broken into. I enjoy his love and devotion to Elise, even if I find it misplaced. She could have been like another Maria Thorpe, but I'll talk about Elise later. I like when Elise dies because she deserves it. And given the current climate of what's going on in the Atlantic Ocean right now, I will explain what I mean when I say that. Elise is brash and doesn't think before she acts and thinks she knows what's best for everything. And she's inherently mistrustful of Arno, even though Arno has placed all of this trust and devotion into her that, again, she doesn't deserve. And she's kind of just not a good person.
So she belongs in the trash.
Yeah, she belongs in the trash. Like, when I say she deserves it, narratively, it is the best outcome for her. there isn't a lot of substance in this game, honestly. Like, there's not a lot that I like. I'm going to talk about, at least when I talk about Arno as a character, just know that I don't like her. Moving on. Harm.
I am the harm assist.
I like having this little stand because then I can come in from off screen. Everybody stay hydrated. So, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's not a bad game inherently, okay? It's just that it was more of the same. More white people in Europe.
Yeah.
You played this one.
Yeah, albeit after watching her do her second playthrough of Unity, this was a breath of fresh air. The game actually felt alive.
Like an Assassin's Creed game.
It felt like an Assassin's Creed game. Even from the opening cutscene, I'm like, hey, twins, they're assassins. What? They're bantering in the middle of a mission? What is this?
I like realistic sibling interactions.
Yes.
Don't you like Jacob more?
I mean, I've actually grown to the point where I like both of them and I don't like both of them.
All right. So remember when I said that Ubisoft was burning the candle at both ends? They took a year off from this game. Montreal, they might have helped, but they did not primarily do this game. This game was primarily done by Ubisoft Quebec. In 2015, they released Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and we were all tired of white people in Europe with no sign of feudal Japan, and yet still they persisted. I guess it's kind of okay because we're going back to the Middle East with Mirage, which I can appreciate that. I'm failing to remember which time period, but I'm pretty sure it was before Altair. We'll talk about that when that game comes out because I swear to God I will have so much to say if that game is not good. Hey, there's my pitch pipe. I thought it was on the windowsill. It's on my dresser.
Nope, it's right there.
Yeah. So twins Jacob and Evie Fry work to liberate London from Templar rule. Jacob's rooks, which is a type of bird, because of course it is, and Evie's artifact research protect England from the Shroud, which modern assassins are looking for, as well as Templars in order to do...
Question mark.
Something with it. And we'll talk about that later, because what were they trying to do with it?
Having reviewed stuff from the entire game, I don't think they outwardly said what they're going to do with it even once.
Because the Shroud is, it's, I don't know this Bible story fully. Something about it being wrapped around Jesus, and that's why he was able to resurrect. The Shroud is a cloth of resurrection.
And not a shrine of resurrection.
But it's only for one person. So what were the Templars, S, going to do with it? Like, okay. The main quest is 18.5 hours to complete and 54 hours to get 100%. Quebec assisted in the creation of the Tyranny of King Washington, Freedom Cry, and Black Flag, which I think says a lot because, as you will recall, Freedom Cry's port to the Switch was awful, and I have no idea what they were thinking with the Tyranny of King Washington because that is a lot of Native American stereotypes reinforced. Jesus. Yeah, this game was originally going to be called Assassin's Creed Victory when it was leaked. The music, I Can Hardly Hear, was done by an American. This is funny to me for some reason. I don't know why. This French company making a game that takes place in Britain had the music be done by an American. This is funny to me for some reason. There's not a ton about the development that I could find. It wasn't well liked when it came out. It's just more of the same. I'd argue before Odyssey and Valhalla that it was the weakest entry. And like even then, even with Odyssey and Valhalla, one of the criticisms that I make is that those are just adventure games. They're still kind of fun if you're not shrouded in the Assassin's Creed hate. This is probably the weakest entry, honestly. Like, I still like it though. So The fans felt like they weren't being listened to, which we weren't, so... The leveling system has changed, and there's been a return to form with the fort mechanic. So when you open the map, everything's shaded in red, and it's got numbers next to it. And when you go into each area, you're going to find enemies that correspond to that number, and lower than that. So the highest area, obviously, is the one near Buckingham Palace, and the lowest area is near where you start the game. So that's fun. There's a grappling hook, there's clothing, but clothing has attributes, but it doesn't level you up like in the last game. There's a crafting system again, and perks. The works have an upgrade system of their own as well. There's a hideout again, and it's a train, which I thought was very cool. Yeah.
I did like it being a train. At the same time, I have a couple of gripes about the perk system.
Although I will say, for some very... We'll get to it. Although I will say, for some very odd reason, if I fast traveled to the train when it was, when I didn't need to be there, my game would crash. That didn't happen the first time I played it. It only happened on the second playthrough. So that was odd. Yeah, this game is a very clear return to form. The reason why it's a train, by the way, in case because I didn't mention it, this game takes place during the Industrial Revolution in England. So that's why your main base is a train. The mechanics I dislike. The grappling hook doesn't always function very well. For some reason, I felt like it should be more like Arkham Knight. I think that game has a grappling hook.
I don't know, it's Batman. So.
Dope. That game is coming out on Switch. There's no way it's gonna look good. You better have a dock, because that game is not gonna look good on that tiny little screen.
So Arkham Knight hasn't been fixed and they're still trying to port it?
What do you mean it hasn't been fixed?
I don't know, I heard it was just bleh.
I don't know anything about it. I know that all three in the trilogy are gonna be ported to Switch sometime at the end of the year. You better have a dock, because it's not gonna look good on that tiny little screen. Yeah. So, I can't be unarmed, which would have been useful for the kidnapping missions, because I kept accidentally killing them.
Yep.
Sequence 8 shows up before you can actually play it.
Constantly.
Every time you go to the train.
I actually had to ask her, hey, so which one am I supposed to do?
Like, you have to do them in order, but every time you go to the train, Jacob would be like, a letter for me. And Evie will be like, there's a letter here for Jacob. The change in button layout still bugs me, because that happens every game. The carriage controls leave me wanting, because it feels like I'm driving the friggin' Warthog from Halo.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a carriage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The blighter, when there are blighter plans in some of the fort areas, they're not marked on the map. You can see them if you use Eagle Vision, but they're not marked on the map. The right kind of cart isn't always around when I'm kidnapping someone. Mm-hmm. There's actually a perk for that. Jacob and Evie play completely the same, which is stupid. I can craft items I can't use. The Voltic bombs hurt civilians as well, which if you kill too many civilians, you'll desync. NPC speed... Need I say more? Horses take off if their driver gets killed, but in like an annoying way.
Yeah.
You know what this game needed? A glider.
A paraglider?
Because if the horse is taking off running and I have to chase it on foot.
Or for the grappling hook to work.
Or that. But I mean when they're going over a bridge. There's not a whole lot near the bridges. Yeah. Stealing isn't enough of a mechanic in this game to justify its presence.
Mm-hmm. I think
I talked about missions next, so why don't you like the perk system?
So the perk system is... Clearly they want you to play Evie and Jacob different ways, despite the fact that they play the same.
Oh, that, yeah.
So, Evie and Jacob get different, I wouldn't
finishing
quite call
perks.
them ultimate perks, but they're, towards the bottom of the tree. Evie can only get some, Jacob can only get some. They can get each one leading up to it, though, which is kind of weird. And while I wanted to play both of them as different styles, they still basically ended up being the same.
Which is kind of a problem. The mission with the Prime Minister's wife is the most annoying mission in the game. Every game has one. Mm-hmm. Side note, when that mission happens, the Prime Minister's wife has a corgi named Desmond. Sean wrote in the description of it, he's basically said that this dog being named Desmond is the worst thing to ever have happened, and how dare they name their dog Desmond in the past before Desmond was even a thought. And Rebecca comments that Sean drank himself to sleep, and she heard crying coming from his room. Sean is really broken up about Desmond's death, which makes the people who ship the two of them together go crazy. So, yeah. I missed the sprint button.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all for game mechanics. What did I dislike story-wise? Evie and Jacob's fight felt stupid because Evie is smart enough and level-headed enough to realize both she and Jacob are right. I'm not talking about their actions because Evie is just as brash as her brother is.
Yep.
But when reflecting, both of them are correct. Because if Evie's looking for all of the artifacts, but the Templars are still around, they very easily could be ambushed because, you know, they're not the only train that runs on that track. Yep. But a train isn't very subtle.
No, it isn't.
And then Jacob, he is going around killing all of the Templars, which is correct. But it's not that Jacob's not smart. It's just that he doesn't care enough. Jacob is not aware enough to have somebody in place to take that person's spot that he killed immediately.
He literally fucked up the central bank. Without any plans to replace anyone or anything.
Nurse Nightingale. Nightingale?
Yeah.
Nurse Nightingale.
Florence Nightingale.
When you do one of the ones, I think it's either an asylum or a hospital that's been turned into an asylum, and she wants to turn it back into a hospital.
Yeah.
When you originally do that mission with Jacob, he just goes in and kills the surgeon. He doesn't think about who's going to replace him or anything like that. And actually later, when you're playing as Evie, because she's the one who fixes it, when you're playing as Evie, if you walk by Jacob on the train, he will say something along the lines of like, you know, I wonder what happened to all of that poison that was going to be flooded into the system, and who took over the hospital? Oh, well.
There's like a certain practicality to this that Jacob doesn't have, and I feel like you're supposed to see both of them as Evie's thinking with her brains, Jacob's thinking with his heart.
With his fists.
Which translates to his fists.
Which is also kind of ridiculous because when you finally do sequence 8, Jacob is shown to be able to follow directions in a timely manner and in sequence. So, Evie and Mr. Green, how about instead of only looking for the artifacts, you help Jacob take out the Templars and give him the instructions, and one of you set up the person to, you know, function like a brotherhood?
Yeah. Can we just say Mr. Green is best boy?
He is, but we're not there yet. This is plot stuff. Well, no, I think that's in here somewhere. Yeah.
Also, Evie and Jacob seem...
That's understory stuff I like. We're not understory stuff I dislike.
Like.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mr. Green is understory stuff I like.
Story stuff you like. Evie and Jacob seem... They try to look complex, but
it's very surface level.
It's like that, you know, those little hologram things where if you turn it, like you can see one image, if you turn it, you can see another. And it's supposed to be like, wow, but in actuality, it's just a 2D surface.
If you flip the hologram around, it's just the same words, but backwards.
Yeah.
Templars are also still not trying to recreate Shay or Hatham. Come on, man. Miss Thorne was stupidly stubborn. And also, at one point, she was like, Evie was like, explain to me what you're doing. And Miss Thorne was like, no. And it's... Okay. Why do Templars always know assassins by name? Ezio kind of makes sense.
Because Ezio was well known.
But why do and like Connor also makes sense because that's his dad. Why do we know all these assassins by name? Aren't y'all assassins? Isn't this supposed to be a secret? Why do we know everybody by name?
Okay, who leaked the documents? Come on. Let's try and figure this out.
But why do we know everybody by name? Yeah, like who told them? Evie only kills 2 Templars.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the Shroud does, really. It revives Jesus, but not Steric? It doesn't heal his wounds? How would it let him control England?
I mean,
Juno.
This was quite literally This was a time at which the head of the church was not the head of England. So, what?
The Industrial Revolution, babe?
Huh? Did I get that wrong?
Very. What year? What year do you think the Industrial Revolution that I'm talking about in England took place?
I have literally no idea.
The 1800s, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smiles in history teacher.
Henry VIII was in like the 1600s.
Yeah.
Queen Victoria is head of the English church at this point.
Yep, that she is.
Anyway, also just like for a modern assassin thing, because there's like a bit more of it to this game, Galena doesn't seem like that good of a master assassin.
No.
Evie doesn't get to do much assassinating, which I dislike. Yeah, okay. Here's the stuff that I do like. Game mechanics first. While I said what I said about the grappling hook, it is pretty useful, especially when you're trying to make a quick escape. Because it's just a button press. You just look up, press the button, and go.
And just, at first I thought like, okay, so I have to look for specific spots to use a grappling hook. You can use it at an almost obscene amount of places on a roof.
And when they shoot you, you don't fall.
Yes.
If they can shoot you.
Or throw rocks at you.
The whistling is back.
Yes.
When I did the tutorial and Jacob whistled, I was so excited.
Like as an assassin, I want to lure somebody to where I am instead of take someone on in a huge crowd.
Man, I like Lydia's section. Lydia is Jacob's granddaughter. I liked her section.
The time travel sections.
Yeah, not the time travel section. It's only one in this game.
Oh, just the World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the missions there are no optional objectives anymore, which is really, really nice. I hated those optional objectives because me, as a person who likes achievements, I hated those optional objectives.
Especially when they were bullshit.
Man. Carrying bodies to hide them is back. That's nice.
Yep.
Sean and Rebecca are nice, despite me thinking that Becca was dead for 2 games after this. She gets shot at the end of the game.
She does.
And then Sean and Rebecca aren't in Origins or Odyssey. They don't show back up until Valhalla. So I just thought Rebecca was dead for 2 games. Evie's design with the freckles is really cute.
Yeah.
The collectibles don't congest the map. They don't even show up unless you find them, unless you can afford the maps for them or you get near them. Without Eagle Vision. You don't need Eagle Vision. If you get near a collectible, it will show up. Yeah. The music boxes you can hear, so.
Yes, you can.
Her, because she's the only one with special armor. It's really nice. I like it.
Oh,
I like the design.
Can I add something to what I don't like? So about the music boxes, I apparently got a glitch where all of them played at the same time anytime I fast traveled. So I wanted to. Oh. I wanted to.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they all played at the same time. All of like.
And like they're not loud by themselves, but there's like 6 of them.
Yeah.
6? 10.
There's more.
I don't know how many there are.
It was in the double digits at least.
But the English slang I thought was a good touch, and they translated in the subtitles like it's a different language.
Yeah. That was great.
The leveling system isn't stupid or easily bypassed. You can make guards ignore you on the street, which I thought was nice.
Yep.
I found the Leave Him Johnny Easter egg.
Huh?
When you're doing one of the missions with Sterrick's sister, that one, when you have to cross the English Channel, if you stop on the docks, you will hear someone singing Leave Him Johnny, which is one of the sea shanties that they sing in the 4th game.
It's awesome.
I thought that was really neat.
Also,
apparently in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you can also find someone giving Hatham's speech. Which speech they're talking about, I have no clue, but that's neither here nor there.
Also, a good way to play the game is challenge yourself to never, ever, ever touch the water.
Oh, that mission is called Survival of the Fittest.
Yep.
The anti-aircraft part of Lydia's section is a massive improvement from Unity. Yeah, that's all the game mechanics that I like. Did I miss anything? As far as game mechanics?
Well, no.
Oh, you know what I didn't mention in the other one? Unity's Eagle Vision points are all kind of disappointing, except for the one on top of Notre Dame. But that's because the game has no color.
Yeah, the vantage points were really nice in this one.
Yeah.
You could see shit.
Yeah.
Also, personally, I like the assassination missions because it's like, okay, so here are the objectives that you can do to make your stuff easier, but you don't have to do them.
Wait, the optional missions. Why does that sound wrong? Because I'm thinking of a specific optional mission.
No, because what they're saying is like you can talk to this person to secure this. You can do this to get the guards to go elsewhere.
They're like little helper things that you can do, but you don't have to do them.
Yeah.
You will still get 100% on the mission, even if you don't do all the little helper things. But they just make the mission a lot easier.
They really do. So, for once, doing them feels like it matters.
The story parts that I like. The Kinway Manor mission was great.
It was.
I like that Sean feels bad for how he treated Desmond. Yes. I'm saddened that he's kind of turned into a bit of an alcoholic due to it. But emotional distress has a way with you.
It does.
The sibling relationship is everything for me. Jacob teases Evie because she likes Mr. Green. And Evie's like, Father said that no love. But it's also like, Evie, yeah. You wouldn't exist if your father hadn't fallen in love.
Yeah.
I like that Evie likes curry. I don't remember how I found that out, but I think I read her journal. Evie likes curry, which is nice. Duleep Singh telling Evie about her dad was really good because she wouldn't have listened to Jacob or Henry about him.
Yep.
And then this plotline was abandoned. We aren't protecting artifacts anymore, nor are we talking about Juno anymore. The game is solid. It's just, in comparison to the other entries, it's weak. Formulaic, but solid. The American trailer doesn't show Evie, so there was a lot of hatred when we were forced to play as Evie for the first time. I certainly wasn't expecting it. But, yeah. So, we're going to do some recap like I did with the other ones right now. We've only discussed 2 games, but given how the format is about to change, we're going to talk about these 2 games. Arno never stood a chance. The same way that Connor didn't. Arno never stood a chance because Assassin's Creed 4 is immaculate, and also Assassin's Creed Unity's launch was ridiculous. It was terrible. Yeah, think about the universe where this launch goes perfectly. He still had to follow Edward. Like, that's almost as bad as following Ezio. Like, Elise is awful. I don't like her. She sucks. She manipulates Arno's love and is so blinded by revenge that it makes her short-sighted. Because also, what was the plan? Arno's killed all of the other Templars, so what's the plan, Elise? You're just going to continue to be a Templar? Like, you can't. She could have been another Maria Thorpe. And what I mean by that is that Maria Thorpe, at the end of Assassin's Creed, the first one, the stand-in for the guy you're actually trying to assassinate is Maria Thorpe. That's the first time we meet her. And if you play some of those little extra games, like if you were weird enough to have a PSP like I did back in the day, some of those weird little extra don't look at me like that.
I have a PSP.
I was about to say, some of those weird extra little games, Maria plays more of a role in them, and you can see the 2 of them starting to fall in love. She was a Templar turned assassin. And people respected her in the Brotherhood, too. But whatever, I guess. Yep. Manipulating Arno and probably making him turn tail was probably going to be in the plan. If you actually love me type nonsense. It was never about the assassin philosophy for Arno, though. It was about revenge, and it was about Elise. And frankly, it's highly out of character for Arno to stay an assassin once Elise is dead.
Yeah.
It'd be very reasonable for him to blame them for Elise dying. If you can watch a playthrough, though, the story is very solid. I don't know if he's played it, but if he has, I recommend Gamer's Little Playground because he doesn't talk, and if you find one of the correct playthroughs of his, because he does both, he skips all of the in-between bits and only shows cutscenes. Or, like, parts where there's, like, a lot of dialogue.
And also, like, important missions and whatnot.
He's
great. Get story during them.
He's great. I like watching his playthroughs of Halo.
Yeah.
Now for the Fry Twins. The game recycles story beats from previous games, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing. And this game makes it apparent to me that Ubisoft doesn't understand why Ezio was so popular. Because as well as Ezio being different from the game itself just being so far upgraded from Assassin's Creed 2. Think about the universe where there's only one game with Ezio. Will we love him as much? We got to stay with him for 3 games and saw the whole progression of his story, mostly from beginning to end, pretty much.
And we saw him still picking up chicks as an old man.
He did get married, but like, would we like him as much if we hadn't seen? Granted, they would have had to change how Assassin's Creed 2 ends, but would we like him as much? Would we care as much about him and his family? Would we care about the Auditores at all? Would Connor have been so hated if Ezio didn't have 3 games?
Yeah.
Like, basically, his Brotherhood and 2 are 1 game anyway. I will not be convinced that this game has a better story than 4, though. I will not.
No.
We spent so much time with Ezio, and I think the Fry twins and the Fry family would have been a really nice place to go, because you've got the twins, and then you give us a little bit of Lydia. Like, Lydia's awesome. Lydia is like when she talks to the Prime Minister, she talks to Churchill. When she talks to Churchill, he's like, "What can I give you in exchange for helping us with this in World War I?" And she's like, "Voting would be nice." Yeah. And Churchill's like, "We'll talk about it. I'll bring it up." I don't know when women gained the right to vote in England.
Yeah.
Their dad was an amazing assassin hardened by his wife's death. That would have made a good game, because you could just watch him, like, kind of like Achilles. You watch him slowly but surely start to become a hard man, and he just, like, no love, and he teaches this. The game could end with him teaching that philosophy to Evie and Arno, or it could end Evie and Jacob, or it could end with his death. I think that would be good, like the fall of the British Brotherhood. Sound familiar? And then Evie and Jacob fixing it, and then Lydia's story, because I don't know, we don't know that much about Lydia. I think that would have been great as well, because it also would be the closest we've ever gotten to the 21st century.
Yep.
So, yeah. We meet these characters and then they disappear, and that's just the end of it. There's no through line. On some level, Ubisoft understands, because that's how we ended up with Layla. Anyway, I wanted to put this here because this is the last time that we're going to get this format. Get ready, because it's about to get stupid.
Real stupid. Are we rolling?
Are we rolling?
Are we rolling?
There's no light. I can't.
Wait, it's red. It's not green.
Are we rolling?
Are we rolling? I think we're rolling. Hey guys, and welcome to the God knows how many minutes.
Don't say that. Because this video is going to be at least an hour, and we're already like 3 in. There's no point in doing an introduction. We already did the introduction. You said you didn't have much to say in the introduction.
Oh right, sorry. I mean, strike that, reverse it. I still don't have much to say.
Are you Willy Wonka? Anyway, I saw somebody do a video on the downfall of Assassin's Creed, and their video was only 30 minutes long. And I out loud went, "Ha!"
I feel like they might be paraphrasing a lot of things.
Yeah. So this is for Assassin's Creed Origins. I titled this section "A New Bullshit," and I know that's not going to make a whole lot of sense because I like this game, but it is still bullshit and it is new. Yeah, I like this game a lot, but there's a lot of crap here, alright? There's a lot of crap here. It's cold in here. There's a lot of crap. No matter how you feel about this game, it has changed the series forever to a point now that we appear to be going back to form in October. We're gonna see how well that goes. Anyway, in 2017, we were introduced to another golden child, not as much as Ezio, but still, Bayek of Siwa. He's a Medjay from Egypt during the end of the Ptolemy era, which is actually the last pharaohs of Egypt. Real quick fun fact. Egypt, the kingdom of Egypt lasted so long that there were Egyptian historians and archaeologists for what we would also consider ancient Egypt. But it was so long ago to them that to them it was also ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Bayek accidentally, spoilers by the way, if you haven't finished that game, huge spoilers. Anyway, Bayek accidentally murders his son when he gets dragged into the Order of the Ancients nonsense. He and his wife Aya swear revenge. In their quest, they create the Hidden Ones, a brotherhood of assassins to stand against the Order for all the children of Egypt and the world. Sound familiar? This game is a 100% deviation from form. The main quest takes 29.5 hours, and 100% is 84 hours. I don't know how to feel about that, because I think on my playthrough I have like 77 hours, but only like 86%, and I also have the DLC. This game is long. This game is really, really long. And it doesn't feel long because, like, especially in comparison to what's to come. It doesn't feel long, but this game is long.
Well, I mean, it's not like it doesn't feel long. It starts feeling a little bit long to the end.
Especially if you have the DLC. And, like, the first time you play, it's all new and fun. But then you just get side quest after side quest after side quest. And it's kind of like, okay, does this stop? Or are we dark brothering this from Skyrim? Like, does this stop?
Yeah. I mean, I'll read on to certain aspects of the game.
Development of this game began after Black Flag. Ubisoft Montreal and 700 other people developed this game. Ubisoft Montreal seems to be the golden team, which I don't know if they did the work for, what the hell is it called? Mirage. There we go. I pre-ordered the game and I forgot. Speaking of which, I pre-ordered the game and then a week later Spider-Man 2 is coming out. So if Mirage is not good, don't expect that video to be good, because then I will be playing Spider-Man 2 and crying my eyes out because that game is going to be sad. Yeah. The Egyptologists helped to do this, which of course they did. And Bayek was originally meant to die and you take up as Aya, but the marketing, development, and chief creative officer allegedly have been trying to minimize the role of female assassins.
Plus, I'm not going to lie, this time, Bayek is a good boy.
But that probably would have still been a good game had she been the descendant, or I guess the ancestor, I don't know. Had she been the one who had Isu blood, so therefore she had the bird, that probably still would have been a good game. It's just, now you're playing as a woman. That's literally the only difference. And I don't think, just about none of the dialogue has to change.
Yeah.
Except now her husband and her son are dead.
Yep.
Just about none of the dialogue has to change, though. Could you imagine, though, the game opens with Bayek screaming at that man, and he kills him, and then the guard ends up killing Bayek, and now Aya's like, well, shit.
I'm not gonna lie.
That would have been fine. That's
also a lot more tragic, and now suddenly you're so much more invested in the story.
Yeah. People love this game. It was kind of like Assassin's Creed 4 all over again. Ezio is still on top, but Bayek is a really close second. Like me, a lot of people dislike the Aya parts, but that's not her fault.
I'm alright with the Aya parts. I'm not like, except for that last one. Ooh, that had me.
I am notoriously against ship battles. I was okay with them in Assassin's Creed 4, and I got better at them with each successive play. I am against ship battles. Yeah.
So I would say in terms of aesthetics, this along with Assassin's Creed 4 knocks it out of the water, no pun intended. This is like literally the sweet spot, and I do hope that Mirage harkens back to this time, 4 and Origins rather than certain bullshit.
The rumor mill is running about that. I think the remake of Assassin's Creed 4 has been confirmed, but the rumor mill is running about a remaster of the first game. Pretty sure I mentioned my comments and feelings about that in the last video. So
just make it look like Origins. Don't make it the same system. Make it look like it.
Oh no, I'm not even concerned about that. I'm concerned about the continuity. So revisit first. Stab and Skedaddle to understand my feelings about that. So I'm pretty sure I talked about it. Yeah. Some people don't like the combat and found the side quest repetitive. I was one of those people. The side quest, not the combat. Someone said killing the Order members was anticlimactic, which, like, what were you expecting? It's not like we were gonna drop someone off a bridge, like, and also, again with these games, you can, like, when Sorry. The game developers have decided that they're only going to take so much creative license with the way people have been assassinated in history. I don't think anybody's actually quite certain how the last Ptolemy pharaoh was killed. I have no idea. It does seem to make a lot of sense to me, though, that in fleeing Egypt, he was then eaten by crocodiles. Crocodiles? Alligators. Crocodiles? I think they're crocodiles.
Crocodiles. He certainly was not massacred by a guillotine gun.
Guillotine gun is the best weapon in that game.
It is.
Anyway, Senu, that was my PS5 controller, if you could hear that. Senu is your eagle vision, and she's an actual eagle. At first, before I played Assassin's Creed Origins, I thought this was stupid, but given that, unlike what's to come, again, Senu actually serves a real function, so it's not stupid.
Senu is best verb.
She's great.
She is awesome.
Which sucks, because I like Icarus and the one from the other game, whose name I did not find out until like 2 years after I beat that game. But the skill tree is simple and great. There's no blending or double assassination for continuity reasons, which, like,
yeah,
I know it's for continuity reasons, and I love a good story and good continuity, but man,
I want double assassination.
I have never missed those skills so much in my life.
Yeah. Speaking of skills,
There's also no minimap, but there's a follow path, sorta, kinda. The what is that called? The tracking?
the compass.
Pathfinding. The pathfinding is a little bit weird when you're on the camels and the horse, especially because, like, you're out in the middle of the desert. There aren't any paths necessarily. Like in the White Desert at the very bottom of the map, there are no paths.
Plus, there is something where you can basically just ride your horse or camel or whatever, and they'll follow it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to press anything, which is pretty based.
There's radiant dialogue if you visit people after you complete their missions, which I did not find out until my second playthrough. There's radiant weather, like sometimes Bayek will make some sort of comment about a sandstorm coming on, and then a sandstorm will come. Yep. I've never had that glitch. I'm sure it's happened to people before. I've never had that glitch. Yeah. The map is expansive, and it's kind of busy, but not in the same way that Unity was. Unity's map was disgusting.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like the same amount of stuff, but it's spread out over a much larger map.
It's also probably because most of this place is desert. Most of the lower part of the map is just desert.
Yeah.
There's nothing down there. I mean, there is something down there, but that battle was not as hard as I thought it was going to be, so... Things I don't like for gameplay mechanics. The controls have changed again, which, like, I played it on Xbox, and I did not realize that you could remap I learned this embarrassingly late. I did not know that remapping buttons on console was a thing. I thought that was only a PC thing. So if you can change the buttons back to what they used to be, I'm sure it's fine, but why are we changing the control scheme over and over and over again when the basis of the game mechanics has not changed?
Yeah, I think I ended up remapping them purely because I was playing Dad of Boy at the same time, and I'm like, let's just...
Yeah, it's disorienting.
Let's just have all the buttons in the same places, please.
The follow path gets a little bit stupid. We're back to guards taking exception to your existence. Yep. They will see you, and they will chase you. I dislike Bayek with hair. I just like it better when he's bald. I feel like I can't see his face when he has hair. Playing as Aya is a hassle because there's no Senu, no map, and no customization. There are tons of forts, which after a while just got annoying. Like, there's no... Like, the fort mechanic as it existed in, like, Syndicate and 4 and Brotherhood and all of those is gone. It's just forts, and you can go and you can kill people in them, and then the enemies will eventually respawn, and that was kind of annoying. There's no auto lock on.
Yeah.
That was annoying. Layla breaks immersion. I can't pet the cats. When you go to areas, like particularly near the Bastet Temple, there are lots of cats because Bastet is a cat.
Cats.
Bastet is a cat. But you can't pet the cats. That was annoying to me. Yeah. Lost my spot. Why does Aya get the last kill? I didn't like that. Hang on.
Sometimes playing as Aya, especially that last sequence, made you kind of feel useless.
Yep.
Meanwhile, she was out there doing the same stuff that Bayek was doing.
Just without Senu.
Yeah, just without Senu. She should be just as powerful, if not more powerful.
Aya's ship sections suck ass. Why does she get the last kill? Curse of the Pharaoh felt like fetch quests. Now go here and talk to this person. Now go here and talk to this person. You may spend like, I think there's like 3 straight missions where you don't have to kill anybody. You just have to go here and find this person or find this thing, and that's about it. The bosses were time consuming. The shards of a star, which is a new like thing you get to like upgrade your stuff rest of the way, those come from scorpions. I don't know if I've mentioned on this channel before the fact that I have arachnophobia, but I have arachnophobia. And they're giant scorpions too, like the size of the spiders in Skyrim.
But actually getting into combat with them, there's really nothing to write home about. I thought that, oh hey, maybe I should watch out for something. The poison and stuff was... It didn't even matter. I
got to the point where I could one-shot them with my arrow if I shot them in the head, so... yeah. Also, when you kill a scorpion, you only get the shards of a star 2 at a time. If you found every chest that has them, then I guess you're stuck. This is also the first game where you can't replay missions.
Yeah, I really would have liked to be able to replay some missions.
Hang on. Why doesn't that sound right? Oh no, you could do that in Syndicate, yeah. This is the first game where you can't replay missions, which means that if you want to replay a particular part of the game, you have to play the whole game again.
Yep.
So, yeah. Story things I don't like. Layla is not as sympathetic as Desmond is. Like, I don't care what you say. Desmond, again, when I talked about him, he's got kind of a point. They are a backwards little group of assassins in the middle of nowhere living on a place called the farm. What does Abstergo have to be scared of? So he runs away and is trying to live a normal life, and then Abstergo comes and kidnaps him.
Yep.
Whereas Layla is just some Abstergo employee who's mad that she doesn't get to work on the Animus project, and then it gets her friend killed. And ultimately herself killed, but we'll talk about that later. Like, she's not as sympathetic. I don't care.
When she actually dies.
Oh, yeah, you didn't... I forgot he didn't play Valhalla.
Oh, no. Okay, you know what? We'll get to that when we get to that, but yeah. I think the big phrase is attempted to play.
The giant snake is terrifying every time, and it's very sudden. Nothing like that happens in the rest of the game, which is why I don't like it. Aya's ship parts felt pointless. Layla says she's built an Animus and that uses other people's DNA, like we haven't been doing that since the 4th game.
Yep.
That's literally the whole premise behind the 4th game, with them finding Desmond's body and saying that he donated his DNA.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. She and Aya interrupt the flow because we dislike being outside the Matrix, and we never play as Aya, like, outside of maybe 3 times. There's the one where someone gets poisoned and you have to play as Aya. There's the last sequence where you have to play as Aya. And I think that actually might be it. Except for, like, the ship sequences. There are, like, 2 of those. So there's, like, 4 missions where you have to play as Aya, and it sucks. And the 2 ship ones, you're technically not playing as Aya. You're playing as the ship.
Yep.
I feel really close. Just gonna... Yeah, that's better. There's outside plays Aya again. I think there comes a point where we must admit that content becomes excruciating. More content does not mean your game is better. And I don't think I came up with that concept. I think I heard that somewhere. I just don't know who said it, because I'm sure lots of people have said it. More stuff in your game does not make your game better.
Keep in mind, this is probably going to be said ad nauseum from this point moving forward.
Regardless of quality, too. It doesn't matter if it's good quality stuff or bad quality stuff. There comes a point where content, there's just too much.
If you like cheesecake, you can eat as much cheesecake as you want, but you can only have so much till you start throwing up.
And you know what? I'm not trying to name any names or anything, but that doesn't only apply to video games. I just want to point that out. In case you can't see what this is my special edition of Dune. It doesn't only apply to video games. More stuff does not make your content better. The first Civilization stuff, while not as pervasive or annoying, is still bleh. You can kill Kenza, which doesn't make any sense. Kenza is my favorite character in the game because she's got scarification on her and she's awesome. I love Kenza. You can kill her, which doesn't make sense because if you go on the Wikipedia page, and like, you wouldn't know this if you didn't read, and you know I hate homework, but I like reading about this stuff. If you go on her page, Kenza becomes an assassin, so you shouldn't be able to kill her in the game.
Also, to somebody who doesn't do like a lot of deep dives or in-depth analyses of this type of like stuff regarding Assassin's Creed lore, just playing through the game, I felt like the whole Isu bullshit, they was so up in the air and so like wishy-washy. They were still trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do with this.
It's not wishy-washy later, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You also don't get skill points for some things. That was annoying, but
yeah,
only minorly. My leg, I'm gonna cut my leg off anyway. I like a lot more things than I dislike, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
The difficulty settings are a plus.
Yes.
Because, like, if you want, and like God of War has this as well. If you want a story, I think that's the lowest difficulty. If you want a story now,
it's give me story, give me an experience, give me a challenge, give me God of War.
Yeah, that's essentially what Assassin's Creed has from here on. I don't know if they're going to do it with Mirage because Mirage is a return to form. But I appreciate that because there's nothing wrong with playing games on a lower difficulty. I cannot stand, like, at this point, because I have, when I was in high school, I had friends who played them religiously. I haven't played a Souls game purely out of spite. Because, like, I'm sure there's something there. It's probably got a really good story that no one ever pays attention to, because every time I ask somebody who plays Souls games what the story is, they've never been able to tell me. I'm sure there's something there, but, like, if lowering the difficulty of your game makes your game bad, and, like, at least for me, I don't want to play your game then. That's for me. Like, I'm not saying if it's a good game or a bad game if you have to lower the difficulty. I know some people who think that if you have to lower the difficulty and you lose out on the experience, then your game is bad. I know some people who believe that. I don't care. I just don't want to play your game if I can't lower the difficulty. Did you have something to say about Souls games?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that might change with Elden Ring because there's, like, story and all of that to it. Is it a Souls game?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Also, apparently, people can't seem to agree on what a Souls game is because I've heard someone say that if you have the ability to, like, combat roll in your game, then it's a Souls game, which, like,
then Monster Hunter is a Souls game.
Exactly. I like more things than I dislike. The difficulty setting. Do you want a story or a nightmare? The tutorial is great because it doesn't interrupt gameplay and it serves a story purpose. The cats gather around you when you walk, if you stand still.
Yes.
There's no 100% completion thingies. This is the first game without those, and I really love that. The skills and things Altair made / perfected aren't present because of continuity, because he is the one who created the double assassination technique, and I think they also imply that blending was perfected with him. Like, the other assassins can do it, but it was perfected with him.
So that way when you go into combat with Bayek, even though sometimes it's not very assassin-y combat, it makes sense.
Because he's also not an assassin yet. He's a Medjay, an angry Medjay at that.
A very, very angry Medjay, but he's a very good boy nonetheless.
One of the things that I liked about the fact that he's a Medjay is that, like, it gets around the you can't kill people as an assassin thing, because Medjays, I believe they were a real thing. Medjays serve all of Egypt. Like, if someone's in need of help, you're going to go help them. Medjays don't kill. At least, not innocent people. Anyway, Sinu is a good bird. Kenza makes me happy. She's a dark-skinned woman with scarification on her. I love her.
Yep.
The Radiant dialogue you can find is really cool. And I found one in my first playthrough where there's a mission that Bayek does, and he very, with exacerbation in his voice, says, "Is nothing true?" Yeah.
I think that might have been the mission with the treasure and the 3 dudes.
I think so. I also thought that the sandstorms were really cool.
Yeah. Like, being able to interact with your environment that way was actually pretty nice.
Things I like in the story in no particular order. Bayek's PTSD hurts. There's a part where, like, they're discussing the plan and he gets a flash of Kemu on the table. That one really hurt.
There is one story. There's one quest line.
Shadia.
Shadia.
Shadia was jaw-dropping.
Yeah, there's one quest line I cannot do again, which is the stone formations.
Oh my god, those stone formations hurt so
Like,
badly. Because then he
even-
takes the stones that he finds at each formation and puts it where they buried Kimu. That's the kid's name. That's their son's name, by the way. His name is Kimu.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, depressing. It was super depressing. I like the fact as well that children are either the same, like Shadia, or mirror Bayek, like one of the people that you assassinate. She's trying to resurrect her daughter.
Yep.
And like Bayek could have attempted that. He knows that gods are real. He's interacted with them. He doesn't though.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening is very jarring because it's all like happy and Pharaoh Ptolemy is walking by and then Bayek is screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yep.
Yeah. I also love how all of their friends, especially after Bayek's other best friend dies, I love how all of the people in Siwa are just like, oh no, go kill those people. Do it.
Exactly. I also like how whenever you walk across places, everyone is like Magi because you have the patch. They recognize you.
I like how in love Bayek and Aya are, and the clear pain they feel at the end of the Hidden Ones DLC, where like they want to be together, but it takes a special type of couple to survive the death of a child, especially when one of them feels super guilty about technically being responsible for said death.
Yep.
Speaking of the Hidden Ones, I like that this is the assassin's doctrine at its most pure form. The order often has too high a casualty price. Hang on. What does that say? The order often has too high a casualty price, and they don't care who it is. The Brotherhood stands in defense. Oh, the Order of Ancients often has too high a casualty price, and they don't care. And the Brotherhood stands in opposition to them because of innocence, and it's great. I like that Bayek saw through Cleopatra first, but Aya sees the bigger picture first. Because they both need each other. They're both it's the same thing I said in Syndicate. They're both technically correct, but each of them sees the other thing first. And then once Aya gets the big picture, it's too late and Cleopatra's kicked her to the side. No, not the big picture. Once she sees through Cleopatra, it's too late, and now Cleopatra's kicked her to the side for Julius Caesar. Yeah. And then once Bayek sees the bigger picture, well, we're already down this road. I can't stop. I have to kill them all.
Yep.
So, yeah. Bayek's also ruthless. Like, when the game opens, didn't he smash that man's skull in with another skull? I think
so.
And then he like crossed off one of the symbols on his arm with a knife. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He is a man on a mission. I like that Caliset, that was the one I was talking about. When you assassinate Caliset, she's trying to bring her daughter back to life. It's very depressing, and Bayek feels for her, but...
Yeah,
Also, this is a thing that I noticed later. Everybody on the bottom rung of the pyramid, pretty sure those are all black people. Yeah. And then the higher up you get, there's no black people anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying anything to say anything, but if you know, then you know. So anyway, I like Bayek's respect for the dead. I like that Bayek knows his heart is heavy, and his heart probably won't weigh less than a feather, but it's implied when in one of the missions in the DLC, when you're in the Duat, if you do all of those missions, it's implied that he finds his freedom that way, and then he's fine. Bayek lost his finger on accident. That was a complete and utter accident, but all of the other assassins were like, no, I'm dedicated, chop. So that was the thing. The presence of the extra missions also actually makes sense in this game, because when you really think about, like in Assassin's Creed, take Assassin's Creed 4 specifically, for example. Mans is a pirate. Mans is selfish. Yeah. He has no reason to be helping these people that he does not know, especially in the Brotherhood before he's a part of the Brotherhood. Bayek is a Medjay. Medjay's help all of Egypt, as I said previously.
Like, he is a man of his people.
Yeah, so the extra missions, while repetitive, make sense in this game.
Bayek also has a lot of character depth because he still keeps his sense of humor. You still see some really witty phrases from him. And on top of that, despite the fact that he keeps Khemu in his mind and Aya in his mind, he's like still, I'm going to help the people of Egypt because that's the job I signed up to do.
The two of them are also buried with each other.
Yeah.
Which is fun. I like Aya. Despite not liking her game mechanics, I do like her.
I honestly, if they decide remake Origins at any point, hey, how about this? Make a game from Aya's perspective? I would have liked to see what she did.
Also, I must have changed my mind later because I wrote, I wish we could have played as a non-Isu descended assassin and used disguises, but whatever, I guess. Ever since I played Avaline's game, I'm a firm believer that disguises should be a bigger part of this game series. Yeah. Aya also has a statue in Assassin's Creed 2. She's Amunet. So, yeah. She was louder in Europe than Bayek was in the Middle East.
Yep.
Yeah, so like you can kind of attribute the European Brotherhood, so like Ezio and all of them, you can kind of attribute that to Amunet, and then Altair you can attribute to Bayek.
Yep.
Yeah. They were meant to be lesser known. There's a fun Easter egg in Valhalla actually, where because the sales kid, can't remember what his name is. The sales kid is also in Valhalla, and you can find him. He's got a letter from Bayek to Amunet, and he's like, "Hey, you're getting a little bit too loud. I've heard rumors of you. Maybe stop."
Yeah.
I like this game. I think it overstays its welcome a little bit. But this was the start of the truly bad flavor of these games. Many people dislike the RPG aspect of these games, and I don't blame them. RPGs aren't for everybody. But do you think it's dying? I feel like now we're entering a cozy game. I don't know what to call it. Because it's not a renaissance, because all of them are the same game. But for a while there was just like another RPG, and another RPG, and Skyrim's being remade for the 17th time, and another RPG, and another RPG, and now God of War is kind of an RPG. And now it seems like we're starting to head more toward, or at least Nintendo is, cozy games? Lots and lots of cozy games on Steam and the Nintendo eShop.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of cozy games, and farming simulators, and just... That's why this game is an RPG, though, because it came out in 2017, like right at the height. But yeah, like the series can't go. I thought when I originally wrote this script that the series was never going to be able to go back to what it once was. I did not know how bad it was going to get. If I had known how bad it was going to get, I would have said a return to form is desperately needed, because a return to form is desperately needed. Yeah, replay value was lost because of the difficulties. And also how much stuff there is to do. I have only replayed this game once. It's very overwhelming. I didn't like the trailer. I felt like it wasn't fitting for what the game actually was. It didn't indicate any assassin stuff, which I don't like. And again, Aya is like Evie, at least in the American trailer. Aya's not in the trailer, so I imagine that when we had to play as her, people were really annoyed. Yeah. But this is where it starts.
It's downhill from here, folks.
Yeah. Christ, oh my god.
Yeah.
So Ezio walks into a bar, and Altair's sitting there, and he's like, "Hey, it's very nice to see you again." And then like Connor and Edward and the Fry twins and Arno join them, and then Bayek walks in, and Ezio's like, "Hold on, who is this?" And Altair's like, no, he's valid. And Ezio's like, oh, if OG says you're valid, then you're valid, cool. And then Cassandra or Alexios walks in, and there's just like a record scratch in the bar. And all of them are like, nah, you're not valid, you can't stay. And then they point to the Assassin's Creed thing on the cover of their game, and all of them are like, no, you can't stay. So this is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I called it The Bullshit Strikes Back, in case you couldn't tell what I was doing with the titles. I'm gonna try really, really hard not to get worked up. I'm gonna try really, really hard not to get worked up. This game is set before Origins. The playable character can fight for Athens or for Sparta. This is during that war, one of the wars. I'm pretty sure there were multiple. This is during one of the wars, and they are trying to restore their family and kill those responsible for ripping it apart in the first place. At least that's how the game is advertised. You can play as Cassandra, who is the canon character, or you can play as Alexios, her little brother, who apparently has a ridiculous voice actor. I didn't think so when he was Demos. So
I honestly wanted to destroy like everything in my save file and replay as Alexios just so I can have that stupid voice.
This game is not too different from Origins in terms of gameplay. There's an extended dodge, a shield break. You can parry with the bumpers. You can choose dialogue to change the outcome of the blah, blah, blah.
Burb is back.
That's Ikaros. Ikaros is a good boy. Ikaros is still helpful. Not as helpful as Senu, but he's still helpful.
Senu's still best Burb.
Yeah. You can turn off the waypoints. You can't turn off the missions, but you can turn off the waypoints if you just want to explore or something like that. Yeah. There's bounties to replace desync and failing missions, because now you can fail missions and you will never desync unless you as the player character dies. So that means that there's no animus screen in this game. Layla's back.
Unfortunately.
And she's working with the assassins, and you wouldn't know that. You would be very confused unless, if like me, for some reason, you were playing Assassin's Creed Origins and were just like, let me see what happens if I leave the Animus, and Desmond's dad is there sitting with her, and he's like, hey, you could work with us. That is why Layla is working with the assassins now. Yeah. It was pointed out to me by this one that with no creed and being a mercenary, desync wouldn't make sense. I countered that with the fact that there's still a canon, and in the other games, if you did not follow the canon, you would desync. In the even earlier games, if you didn't kill an enemy the exact way you were supposed to, then you would still desync. If you got seen when you weren't supposed to be seen, you would desynchronize. But whatever, I guess. This game makes me really angry, in case you couldn't tell. I'm gonna try and stay calm and stay on track. Like, in the last video, I was looking at the script a lot. This one, I might just read whole sections off the script because I have to stay calm. This game takes 140 hours to get to 100%. And 42 hours for the main story. We'll come back to that later. This game was started after Syndicate. It was developed with Montreal, Bucharest, Montpellier, Singapore, Shanghai, Chengdu? I apologize. Kiev and Pune? P-U-N-E. Again, I apologize. Apparently, ancient Greece was one of the most requested time periods.
I'm scared about what they're going to do to ancient Japan.
They went to the ruins to make the game feel more authentic, which I will give them that. The ruins are all pretty authentic. Apparently, this is a fun fact that I learned. Apparently, the reason the game looks like that, i.e. lacking a whole lot of color, is because even in like movies and stuff, ancient Greece is portrayed with kind of like a...
blah.
Not like blah, but like there's like a pastel filter over the camera lens. I don't know how else to explain.
It's not
not pastel, monochromic. And desaturated.
Yeah.
So that was a fun fact that I learned, because then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? You are absolutely correct. The only movie I've seen that's not like that is the 300, but that movie's also in sepia tone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Apparently the Blade of Leonidas is meant to make players feel overpowered. And the bounties were a response to no desync. I didn't hear much about this game when it came out. I really didn't. I have since seen very mixed reviews from first-time players and long-time players. Everyone who dislikes this game hates it more than the people who like it.
Yep.
The biggest complaint is that the game is too big. Someone said it's lost its identity and the story is too diluted. People don't like the leveling system. People loved the game overworld and sense of exploration, which it's an RPG, that makes sense. The attention to detail was well liked, and the reactivity of the overworld was liked. You ready? Because this is the things I disliked. Here we go.
Because I have a lot of things I disliked as well.
Spear fighting is really annoying. And I don't think I just have that opinion about this game. I can think of no video game ever where I have actively chosen a spear when offered a sword, except Zelda. But that hardly counts, because Zelda's different. And also those games are very recent. I've been playing video games since I was 3.
What about Ragnarok?
Ragnarok? Yeah, but I wasn't really given a choice with some of that. You need the spear in order to defeat Heimdall.
Yeah. I
So,
was just asking.
I was never my first choice. The Blades of Chaos were my first choice in that game.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I have to find individual pieces of armor. Yeah, there are no more sets. You have to find individual pieces of armor. That was stupid. The only good thing about that is that you can mismatch them, but this isn't Horizon. Why are we mismatching the armor? Anyway, and even, no, actually, I'm incorrect. Even in Horizon, you don't mismatch armor. And, like, that game has a lot more exploration than this one does. Stay calm. I want to stay calm. I want to stay calm. What?
For Horizon, they just had their own separate defensive values, so it doesn't matter if you mismatch them.
You can't, though. That's what I'm saying. Huh? It's stupid. It's stupid that you can do it in this game.
Yeah.
There's still no mini-map. And for a second, I felt like I was crazy complaining about that, and I was like, are mini-maps no longer industry standard? Because God of War doesn't have one either. But it's not as bad in God of War because the map is smaller, and Witcher from 2016 has a mini-map.
For something this big with this amount of just sheer regurgitated content.
Oh my god.
Like, you need something like a mini-map to make up for that.
The ship segments are completely awful. I am forced to do them, and you can't escape them if you accidentally activate one. I can't hide bodies. And the skill tree is so weird. To craft, you must go find a blacksmith now. The civilians will attack me if they see me fighting somebody or I accidentally hit one of them, which was stupid. There's no hay bale hiding. You can ignore the cult almost entirely because they're not the Order anymore. Now they're the cult.
Of Cosmos.
I'm shocked you remembered that because I didn't. And we will come back to them because... Shut up, stomach. We will come back to them because most of my complaints about them will show up in Valhalla. Okay. Deimos' voice is completely ridiculous. The Athens versus Sparta thing isn't even actually like a thing. Because there are conflicts where I'm forced to fight for either side. Like, the whole game, I spent the time fighting for Sparta, but then there's a mission where you have to fight for Athens, so that you can fight Deimos, because for some reason he's on the Spartan side, even though he's technically also a fugitive in Sparta. So calm.
The other problem with that is the continuity in the game, in that you can fight a battle for Athens, literally do the opposite missions, and fight for Sparta, and both sides are like... Whoever side you're on at the time. No big deal.
Not to mention the fact that won't stop the enemies from attacking you. Yep. And also, after a while, those missions, and for sake of leveling, those missions will just respawn.
And the rating of control that you have for each faction will decay over time. So you've got to pay attention to that if you don't want that getting in the way. If you need to do something in a city, I think you better take care of that conflict first.
Like... The enemies level with me instead of staying static to an area, like in Assassin's Creed Syndicate around, what the hell is the name of that castle? Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
Around Buckingham Palace, all of the enemies are going to be level 10, but around, like, where you first load up into the game, all of those enemies are level 1. That doesn't happen in this game. The enemies level with you.
I think...
And I think there's a way to turn it off, but I don't know.
I think you can turn it off or something in Origins, but I remember very distinctly climbing up something that I shouldn't have climbed up, and all the enemies are level 40.
The viewpoints are very lackluster.
Extremely lackluster.
If there are any Easter eggs, I didn't find any of them memorable, except for the one that technically shouldn't even exist because it's technically an Easter egg for the next game.
Yep.
Everything I dislike about the story has got to come later. Gameplay I like is the conquest battles. Those things are fun. They're hectic and chaotic and they're fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I like being able to sleep with whoever I want, because by the time I got so annoyed with the story, I just started seducing every character I was allowed to seduce.
I think you can seduce literally the last person that you're supposed to kill.
Yes, you can. You can seduce the last person you're supposed to kill, but that's a story thing, so I'll get to that later.
Yep.
Ikaros is a good boy. Finding materials is easier because they're everywhere. Flashbang is a skill rather than a usable tool. That was great. I cleaved the ship in half one night. That was fun.
Yeah, but my gripe about that...
About what, the flashbang thing?
No, cleaving a ship, which...
I don't know how I did it.
It's great, But if you aren't the exact 90-degree angle, if you're not exactly perpendicular to the ship, it will not let you cleave it.
I was trying to ram the ship because there was a cult member on there that I needed to kill.
Also,
speaking of the cult members, by the way, real quick, one of the game mechanics in this game is that you get little mystery things about how to find each member of the cult. I googled that shit. Why wasn't it
Yeah. It's not too much of a departure from Origins in terms of the menu systems and whatnot, so you'd be familiar with a lot of things. It's hard to come up with things. It's hard to come up with things.
Gameplay stuff, it's difficult. Sequence 7 or like sequence 5, one of the odd sequences, like sequence 5 or 7, is just long as ass for no reason. It's the one where the little girl who was marked for death from the beginning of the game dies.
God, that
marked for death.
I think that's where I stopped. I think that's where but we're not talking about that right now.
Do you have any other gameplay stuff? Because I didn't like anything in the story.
I'm trying to think about gameplay. So, like, for me, the ship stuff. I liked being able to upgrade this stuff in the ship. Because...
Me too, in Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah, in Assassin's Creed 4. Also in this one, just in case, it's another resource sink. So it doesn't feel useless. Also, they have a whole bunch of Easter eggs for the crew. Which... And I think... No, I think you saw one of the Easter eggs, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which...
But they added... No. They added those after they started adding stuff to Valhalla.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to come out and say this is kind of like a cardinal sin of if you're making two games, both of them are live service, the stories cannot intersect while you're updating both of them. Case in point, we're about to talk about it.
I didn't like anything in the story, so we're just going to start with the small stuff. Small stuff. The multiple endings thing is stupid and I feel this way about what's the game where the girl can travel in time but like only short distances, and she continually has to save Chloe, her stupid friend who keeps getting herself killed.
Is that Life is Strange?
Life is Strange.
Yeah.
In Life is Strange, you get to choose the ending that you get, which isn't how a choose your own adventure should work. Based on your decisions up to this point, the game should decide what ending you get. Not me choosing which ending I want. And granted, in this game, it technically kind of does do that. But still, it's not enough. You can have any variation of Cassandra's family surviving. You can have her dad and only her stepdad and her stepbrother live. You can have only Deimos and her mom live. Any combination of that.
Everyone can survive. Everyone can die.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I'm not fucking playing 42 plus hours each time to get a different ending. I'd search that shit up on YouTube.
I did.
Yeah.
I also searched up which decisions to make to get the best ending.
I'd also search that shit up on YouTube if I cared, which I really don't.
Because if you get the best ending, then like Deimos and your mom and your stepbrother and your stepdad can become your crew, and Deimos has like radiant dialogue. It's kind of cute because I like siblings, but it's not cute enough. Anyway, what's other small things? The canon ending is not clear. The canon ending, I'm pretty sure, is also that everybody dies. Anyway,
I think we just should have been allowed to play as Cassandra.
Cassandra being immortal is stupid, as is her mission, because it's actively lore breaking. That's not small, but still, it is actively lore breaking. When they updated the game again, this is an update. When the original ending of the game is that Cassandra goes, one of the endings, and meets her fucking dad Pythagoras. Don't ask, we're not going to talk about it. And he's got the staff, the Codicus staff?
The Codicus staff.
He's got the Codicus staff. Don't ask, we're not going to talk about it. And it's making Pythagoras immortal. So then Cassandra takes it, and then she ends up in like the present time, and she meets Layla and lets go of the staff and gives the staff to Layla. That is the canon ending because that is how we end up at Valhalla. Layla has the staff. That is the canon ending.
That's a fucking fever dream.
However, later in one of the updates, they decided that no, actually, Cassandra's immortal, and she's going to go around finding the pieces of Eden because she wants to stop whatever from happening, which is actively lore breaking. Because if she's looking for the pieces of Eden, how did she not end up at Masya?
Which, by the way, I'd like to remind everybody.
Calm. I'm calm.
We still don't know what they do.
No, we do know what they do.
Oh, now we do know what they do?
No, we've always known what they do. The piece, if you play those extra bits in Assassin's Creed 3 with Desmond, you find out what they do. Juno tells you, unfortunately.
Fuck.
The apples of Eden were created to try and protect, like, get everybody on the planet to think the same thought, because thoughts in this, which is not, it's magic, it's not a bad thing. I've seen this before in other things. Thoughts are so powerful that they can make things actualize. So they were trying to, there's lots of them in the atmosphere apparently. They were trying to make everybody on Earth think of a shield to protect Earth from the sun. Stupid, but we're not going to talk about it. And then the cloth, fucking, that resurrected Jesus, that's one. The shroud of Turin. The shroud, that's one. And then the sword is just like a sword, but it's more powerful. I'm not really sure what the papal staff is supposed to do. The papal staff can't work, though, without an apple of Eden, so...
Is it technically a piece of Eden, the staff itself?
The staff by itself, probably not, no.
Yeah.
But,
It's stick.
Also, the apples can create illusions and stuff like that, and... Anyway, it's actively lore-breaking, which is why I'm concerned about because I think the one for Assassin's Creed 4 is a remaster. They would have, like, based off of the mechanics that we have now, they would have to remake the first one. Which is why I hope the rumor mill... I'm conflicted about if I want it to be good or not. Anyway, I am actively forced to fight with Athens at one point. I already talked about that. The first Civilization stuff is clearly the game they want to make, but since God of War exists...
Yeah. I'm also pretty sure when you start, you have to fight with Sparta as well.
You have to fight. You're fighting with the 300. You're Leonidas. The first mission in the game is Leonidas.
I'm talking about, like, the first couple of missions.
Oh, yeah.
Those are, like, you gotta go up to your stepdad and shit. So to do that, you have to fight with Sparta.
Yeah.
And then you need to fight with Athens.
There's like 6 decisions in this game that actively matter, and it's all of the ones about you, like, sparing somebody or trying to convince Demos.
Is it 6 or 4?
I don't fucking know.
But, like, here's the thing.
Sparing dad, sparing brother,
Mom.
Sparing mom, convincing Demos that the cult lied to him, and then choosing to spare Demos.
Yeah.
So, five decisions. The spear broke on Corfu, which was also something that they added later. The spear broke on Corfu, and I'm forced to believe that Cassandra is not a descendant of Isu, because usually the Isu artifacts work because you have the blood of an Isu. Moving on. Speaking of Corfu, it felt like they realized there were no Easter eggs and added them in later, but then they added Easter eggs for the game forward, which makes no sense. But Moving on, we're not going to talk about it. It felt like I should have been playing a better game. It felt like I should be playing a better game. Why am I wasting my time with this? The DLC for Assassins feels like someone realized there wasn't an actual assassin in the game, yelled, "Fuck!" and then went and added the DLC, which is about, it's about Darius. Cassandra's Aya's ancestor. We're not going to talk about why Aya does not have eagle vision. Cassandra is Aya's ancestor through Niccolo. Nicholas? I don't know. Through Darius's son, which is how Aya ends up with the hidden blade that she gives to Bayek. If you have something to say, say it. I swear to God.
I was about to say, I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off and say that this was the first Assassin's Creed game I tried. I tried my hardest. I tried drinking, and it worked for like maybe a couple of bits. I found it a bit entertaining. There was a point in which no amount of alcohol could have made me play that game. I didn't finish it.
The Cult of Cosmos doesn't feel like Templars in the same way that the Order of the Ancients does, and you can seduce their leader, which is apparently the canon ending. I killed her. Jesus. My game crashed 6 different times, by the way.
Yeah, my PC had a rough time with it.
That's not story stuff, but that made me angry anyway. The main storyline... There's also main storyline stuff locked behind DLC.
You don't do that.
Which we all know how I feel about when I have to actively go out of a game to find more lore or watch hours and hours of YouTube videos because you've decided that your business model, Bungie, is just going to be you had to be there. Cassandra has no character development. For example, you can yell at someone about the child in the game who was marked for death. She's like one of the first people you meet. You can yell at somebody about putting her in danger that gets her killed, but then later, it's like it didn't happen, and both of you apologize for no reason.
Also,
affects nothing.
The dialogue options sometimes felt very Fallout 4-y, in which you were shoehorned into saying something in 3 different ways. You could either be sassy and sarcastic, you could be wholeheartedly, let's go ahead and do the good thing, or we could be, no, fuck you.
More evidence that Cassandra is not Isu descended. The spear that she has sometimes gives her visions. It also gave Herodotus a vision. Okay, so she's not even special like the rest of the other assassins. This is why she's not valid. The clouds just came over my window, and now it's darker in here, and that's weird. I hate this game, if you can't tell. Not every cult member is required to die as a function of the plot. I think there's maybe like 6 of them that you have to kill, and there's like 18 of them on the chart. I was never able to figure out how the bounty hunters works, because every time I would fast travel, it would reset. I could never figure that out.
The bounty hunters is just something stupid that they randomly generate some dudes to come after you and you kill them. And
Assassin's Creed is not the series to pick and choose if someone dies. Assassin's Creed. I also had to go and do like a battle royale type deal because one of the enemies was part of the cult. I hunted all of them down because I wanted to see if there was a special ending. In Valhalla there is, in this one there's not. Which we're going to get to the one in Valhalla in a second.
oh dear.
The choose your own adventure in this game is especially stupid because you make every choice.
Yep.
You can do everything right and still kill Demos. If you want to, I'm pretty sure you can. And then your mom will walk away from you. If you kill Demos, she'll leave you, but I don't care. Now, I don't know gameplay. I can't tell you if it needs improving. I don't know how to program a game. I've never done that before. I'm not going to pretend that I know how to program a game. However, I write a lot of stories. And I can tell you that this story ain't great. So, yeah, I've played every single major release in this game. And I don't know if what I'm about to say is a better game just in general. But it's better than what we got. So, here's my Assassin's Creed Odyssey game. Start the game with Darius assassinating Xerxes. Then Cassandra and that whole first part on the island before you leave, like where you meet Herodotus and all of that is perfectly fine. I don't care about that bit. When I leave the island, she kills the cult member who tries to have her kill her stepdad. Darius hears about her and is like, okay, let me go find this girl and see what's what. He meets her after she infiltrates the cult and sees that her brother Demos is alive and part of the cult. At this point, she accidentally killed her stepdad and her stepbro in self-defense from killing the first one. Darius tells her that her family is Isu descended, all of the ones blood related to her anyway. So like her mom, Demos, all of them. They didn't believe that they could control her, but they got Demos, so they're gonna do that. He gives her a hidden blade because there should be a hidden blade in the game, because if you walk up to stuff and like the pulley system thingy, if you walk up to it and cut it, it still makes the hidden blade noise.
Let me just use my spear.
Okay, Jesus Christ. There also should be more than one hidden blade. I have that gripe even about Origins. There should be more than one hidden blade. Then she goes after the other cult members, slowly learning that the cult can't actually control Demos, and then after they kill her, the plan is also to kill him. She finds her mom, tells Darius about her brother, like that confirms that she and Demos are brother and sister, and Darius tells her, like, yo, only if you can control him, fine. If you can't control him, he needs to die. To which Cassandra's like, if I can't control him, I'll kill him myself. Darius agrees. Cool. Because you want to know who could really benefit from the disappearing effect that the Assassin's Brotherhood has on people? The person who's a fugitive in Athens and Sparta. Like, why? It's not like she's got any sort of, like, rapport with these people necessarily. Not anybody who's still alive by the end of the game. Ezio can vouch for somebody, and then Niccolo Machiavelli could do whatever he does in the real world to make it so that that person's safe. Cassandra doesn't have that. So yeah, Demos has still been talking to her. The parts where Demos goes and like speaks to her, all of that is still fine. She's been convincing him to help the entire time. Their mom is killed by a cultist, which Demos sees. And Cassandra decides to like look at Darius and is like, you know what? I'm just gonna become an assassin. And Darius is like, you sure? And Cassandra's like, yeah, I want to become an assassin. Screw it, let's do it. It's like, and the reason why they're not the hidden ones yet is because it's just the two of them, and then the three of them when Demos joins them. Yeah. So also their son, his son, not their son, his son. Cassandra confronts Demos and the cult leader, and like they're like, when she's dead, she tells him once she's dead, who else is left in her bloodline? Demos. So they're going to kill him too. And they killed your mom. The leader was that high up Sparta cultist rather than it just being that chick. Yeah. Demos sees the logic and dude tries to stab Demos, and as much as I hate this, a quick time event is the last kill. They kill the cult leader. Got it. Bring back the death animations from the Animus looking place. Give the main character the staple weapon of the game and make her an assassin. Like, oh my god. Maybe that's not a good story necessarily, but it's better than what we got, and it fits in with the continuity of the game. Forget all of the immortal stuff. If you have to include the Isu stuff, just make them descendants. Ugh. Because it's not even like the Order seems to be looking for Isu artifacts anymore. It doesn't seem like anybody is. So, like, just use that as an explanation for ego vision. Drop the Pythagoras Atlantis crap. None of the immortal nonsense. Certainly no Corfu nonsense. Contain the character. I tried not to get upset, and then I got upset. I watched the trailer, and it's Alexios, because of course it is. There's also advertising that they did where instead of an Alexa, they got an Alexios.
I have that.
That commercial was really funny.
Yeah. Trust me.
Do you have any parting thoughts about the game? I'm physically warm now.
In terms of parting thoughts about the game, first off, DNF did not finish.
I finished it once and then I deleted it off my Xbox because that thing kept trying to update and I was like, no, we're done.
On top of that, above all else, I think it took up even more space than Valhalla did. And that
took up more space than the whole of the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
And I've only got a terabyte of space on my Xbox, y'all.
So I got it on a sale for about
like $9.
I got it on sale for about $16. I'd say it's not even worth that. I mean, if you literally want to keep somebody busy for about
42 hours.
No, I'd say if you want to keep somebody who really wants to finish everything busy for like maybe 2 months, 3 months, yeah, sure. Under $10.
This game freaking sucks.
Do you know how bad it was where my thoughts went during the last one?
What?
Wonder if I should get Chick-fil-A for dinner.
Are you spending the night?
I don't know.
Okay. Our minds are trying to reject this game, which is why we're just having a casual discussion between relationship partners.
It's...
I did plan to drink tonight, if you want.
Yeah, I'll probably stay then. I mean... Right, when I picked it up, I have that with me, so it's fine. Okay, and I got my water in my car, too. So, ladies and gents, and everyone in between...
Welcome to Return of the Bullshit.
We have a problem. I'm fuzzy. Am I fuzzy? I think I'm fuzzy.
I think it's because you got closer.
Well, no, because I got...
I'm the one who's in focus because I'm closer to the camera.
Oh, no, when you were waving your hand over me and stuff. I'm sorry, we're trying to delay the inevitable. We have a problem. We have a major problem. Clearly, we can see that Santa Monica Studios got to the finish line first. Okay? We can tell.
I love how you tried not to laugh for a second there.
No, I tried not to burst into rage. Because... y'all might notice, in the last one I said I played through a decent amount of the game, and then I started drinking while I was playing the game, and then drinking didn't help, so I stopped.
When did God of War come out? The 4. When did God of War 4 come out? What year?
Data Boy was 2018.
Development of Valhalla began that year. And it's technically a COVID game only because of its release date, but development started in 2018. And this game released, and I cannot say that they had DLC stuff in mind. I cannot say that because I don't know. It wasn't in the development notes. However, when the trailer for Valhalla's like biggest DLC came out, I out loud went, "Oh, God of War Ragnarok." And then that wasn't Kratos, and I was like, "What is this?"
I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off again. If you guys are not aware, all these videos have spoilers. Why is Cassandra in this game?
Don't even get me started on that shit. I had to revise my script because they keep updating the freaking game, and I have to stop at some point.
Now my own blood pressure is going up.
I have a lot of negative emotions associated with this game. Why are we moving down a little bit?
So, last game...
She's fighting with me. Sorry.
Last game, I was kind of defeated. Like, I'm going to make peace with the fact that I'm not going to get anything out of Odyssey. This game actively takes from you.
I will try to keep it concise. In 837, during the Viking conquest of England, Eivor and their brother Sigurd lead their family to a new kingdom, because we all know, like in actual history, we all know that like there are already people living there. It's not new. There were lots of kings of Breton with an O, not Britain with an A.
Breton.
Yeah, they were the Britons, not the British. Yeah. That's whenever people talk about like Britain before William got there, think of it like that. They're not the British, they're the Bretons, the Britons.
I always think of like the Bretons from, maybe that's how you say it, from Skyrim.
I don't know, but there's no E, it's an I. It's still an I.
No, but that might have been how you said it back then.
Maybe. The two of them get tangled up in the plans of the Order of Ancients and their centuries-long conflict with the Hidden Ones. Okay.
Bones.
This game takes 47 hours to do the main quest and 136 hours to complete 100%.
Hey, isn't that less than the last one?
Barely. Development began in 2018 and it was handled by Montreal, supported by 14 other studios.
Wait, for now.
COVID did... No, that's DLC included.
No, that's what I'm saying, for now, because they're still doing something with it.
Yeah, when I wrote down that hour amount, that might actually be wrong now. And also the one for Odyssey, that may actually be wrong now.
Oh god, why?
COVID didn't have much of an effect on the game since the game was nearly done when they released it, and the rest they could do from home, so they were fine. They didn't want to reinvent the series' themes.
What themes?
Family.
Oh.
Yeah. They didn't want to reinvent the series themes, which I think like makes Vikings a really good thing for that, because like first off, for everybody watching, Viking was a job. It was not a culture. You were a Viking when it was Viking season, and then you went home and you farmed. Anyway, I mean that might be a little bit inaccurate, but not the part about Viking being a job. So like
it's a character class. It's not a
but they were a close character class. So having this game be based on Vikings was not a terrible idea. They didn't want this to be the last game in the series either. They knew there would be similarities to God of War, but wanted... Get this. They wanted a historical grounding for the game, where God of War lacks that. Now, don't get me wrong. God of War is based purely on mythology and some creative license from said mythology. There is history in this game. Some of these people are real people. But the DLC that I saw, I compared it to God of War because there was a giant lava monster in it. That kind of reminded me of what I thought Surtur was going to look like, and then did end up looking like.
So, I'm not going to lie. God of War does it without even trying to get it.
Women were more featured in Viking history, so you can choose which gender you want. And also...
Let's not talk about that.
No, because my brother told me something. apparently, because there's like a sleeping sequence in this game that if you don't play it, then you're not going to understand the entire story. But anyway, in that sleeping sequence, you're technically supposed to be Odin. So my brother chose the middle gender where it would like switch based off of the story. And he told me that the only time you play as a guy is when you're doing those sequences in Asgard.
Yes. So you are a guy in Asgard everywhere. Like in Midgard, you are...
When you're awake. When you're awake, because that's a dream sequence.
Which is why I'm like, God, that's why.
Which I did not know, because I chose Eivor because I thought that... I chose Eivor as a woman because I thought Eivor as a woman had the better voice actress.
I chose Eivor as a dude because we need the beard.
Yeah, so they wanted to show the Viking Age of England from the perspective that wasn't Anglo-Saxon years after the event, which is fair because, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in history that we just wouldn't know happened if not for certain groups of people, but then you go digging and you learn that there are actually accounts from the opposite side.
Bones.
Kind of like slavery. But anyway, yeah. Apparently this is also not as big as they can go. I'm really happy that they decided not to go bigger. Yeah, that tweet about it not being as big as they can go, that tweet got deleted. The game also includes stuff like audio cues, menu narration, and other things for handicapped people, which is now slowly but surely, I really hope it becomes an industry standard, because it's not that I'm deaf, I can hear. I just like subtitles.
But here's the problem with that. They need to make it a little bit more... They need to include options of, like, combat specific and whatnot, because...
Spider-Man has some of those.
Having all the combat cues on top of constant gold rattling...
Yeah.
Gold rattling everywhere.
Spider-Man has some of those, because, like, I am not good at QuickTime events. I'm terrible at them. I turn them off for Spider-Man.
Yeah, it does. I think I kept them on.
My sister also kept them on because she's a better gamer than she thinks she is. Yeah. The game feels more balanced, if that's possible, from Odyssey. The combat is great. People say the hour count is inflated. Ugh. The story is disjointed. And a poor point of entry if you've never played an Assassin's Creed game before.
Let's just say disjointed at best.
Also, microtransactions. Also, real quick, I deleted this in Odyssey off my Xbox. I have never had a game update as much as this one with stuff I'm not even gonna play. Every time I turned on my Xbox, Valhalla would update. Every single time. The last update I think I got for Halo was when they added Reach to the game. The gameplay is very similar to Odyssey. The skill tree has expanded by a huge margin, and last time I turned on the game, it had expanded even more.
Oh, great, it's bigger.
There's a lot I don't like, so let's start with the gameplay. Every time another section of the skill tree opened, I would die inside. Right when I thought I finished it, an update made it even bigger. The bird, who I only realized later was called Sunan, feels useless. I can use him to mark waypoints, and that's about all I got out of him.
Sunan is not best bird.
After 79 hours, by the way. He's a good bird. He's just not useful.
He's not best
He's
bird.
99% pointless. Bellis? Bells aren't map marked. The reason why I show this because I wrote my notes in cursive, but because it's easier on my hand than print. Bells aren't map marked like they are in the older games. Power level isn't indicated on the map before you walk up to something.
Yep.
There's a 300 power level enemy in the 20 level area, and I did not know that until I walked up to her.
By the way, your power level...
What did you call that? You called that something. A beginner's trap?
Yeah, noob trap.
A noob trap.
So, what I want people to look at is we're looking at a Souls game, Elden Ring. Literally, tree guardian sentinel or whatever. Tree sentinel knight, whatever. That bastard on the horse.
The Ent. On a horse.
No, he's not an Ent.
Whatever. Keep going.
The one that you get the golden halberd from. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's right there. So almost every YouTuber, every streamer that I've seen, it's like, yeah, he's in the way. Let's fight him now. No.
Breakable walls also aren't glowing. Now is also a good time to mention that I didn't choose Explorer mode. So all of that shit should be glowing.
I did choose Explorer mode.
There's not enough fast travel points in Asgard. To kill every Order member, I have to do a minigame, which was irritating. lock on and pickpocketing are garbage. I didn't even realize you could pickpocket till I got like a little optional things are back as well. I didn't even realize pickpocketing was an option until I got one of the little optional things. I never got a button prompt for it. You can blend in this game. I never got a button prompt for pickpocketing. The skill tree is redundant, as in health, damage, and defense should always in every single. I believe this about every single game I play ever. Defense, attack, and health should auto update when you level up.
Defense, armor value, health, range damage, and melee damage.
I don't necessarily agree with armor value because they're where you can find armor.
Also, critical chance and assassination damage.
All of that I don't necessarily agree with the armor one only because there are some games where it just doesn't do that.
All this for someone who renounces being an assassin at the end of the day.
Shh, we're gonna talk about that later. Yeah. I'm aware this wasn't a complaint that I had in Origins, but that's because in Origins the game feels more balanced. And also I could find the stuff I needed really easily to update all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was all over the place. And also I didn't have to go to a blacksmith to do it. I could just do it myself.
Yep. At least I will say I am a fan of the combat.
Targets don't glow. The anomalies break immersion, and I'm not even sure what they're for. Sections where I can't run, and only 4 rations is what I reached. Armor grips remain the same. Armor grips remain the same. Individual pieces of armor and all that crap.
Yep.
But on the bright side, I can craft my own stuff again. I don't have to go to a blacksmith.
True.
While Ravensthorpe felt super useless, I enjoyed the raids. I also like the landscapes. The viewpoints aren't much better, but they are better. It's also a very weird glitch I got, where sometimes I would go to a viewpoint, and then after I got it, the camera would just whoop! I wouldn't die because I was still standing there, but the camera just whoop!
It's a finished game, guys.
I transitioned to what I liked. Eagle vision and the target kill sequence are back.
Yay!
But we're going to talk about that target kill sequence in a second. Jesus Christ. The sprint button. The sprint button? The sprint button. Oh my god. That's probably one of my biggest complaints about Zelda. The sprint button. I can shield break. There's no longer attacking your allies on accident. Yeah. During a raid, my men helped me kill an order member.
That's awesome.
Which was also great because that order member was slightly stronger than I would have been able to handle by myself. I don't even know what he was doing there. I was doing a raid and he just popped up and I was like, oh. Alright. Yeah. My hood can be up most of the time, which I like. They give you a ton of swimming oxygen in this game. My followers match pace, which, if you play video games frequently, I don't even have to explain. The boat loading screen, if you're going somewhere on your boat and you fast travel with your boat, it'll show in the Animus loading screen, it'll show a specific thing for your boat and you can turn it and stuff. It's really cool. I thought that was fun.
Also, when you're actually going on your boat, say you've charted a path already or something, you can either choose to listen to them singing or listen to the stories.
There's also a cat on the boat. You can't pet him, but there's a cat.
That's another -2 points for this game. You can't pet the cats.
Follows my speed, but I can select 2 waypoints on the map. That was nice. The brutes are completely impossible.
Yep.
There's a cat on the boat. The order members are easier to find. The riddles in this game are a lot easier to find. If I begin a new pledge and then in the middle of that one, I decide to go do another one, when I come back to the first one, my progress is still saved, which was nice.
I like raids.
Oh, and you can't pet the cat on your boat, but you can pet animals again.
Yay.
Story things I like. The opening with young Eivor and then older Eivor is good at drawing you in.
How you became the wolf kissed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an Easter egg. Rada, the merchant.
Rada, yeah.
The merchant. He's the one. He's telling. If you stand there and listen to him speak, he's telling the story of Assassin's Creed Origins. it's very unclear what Rada is or who that person is. I kind of hope he'll be in Mirage.
I really hope he's in Mirage.
Also, in case it was unclear for anybody, Mirage, I believe, takes place about 200-300 years before the first game. So we're catching up now.
Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully, we'll get a game that takes place after World War One. Maybe. Jesus. It'd be cool.
I slightly like that sequence.
The only problem with that, though, is the fact that if you go past... I'm on a tangent now. If you go past World War One, you start to get into a lot of controversial figures who were assassinated, and then trying to say who assassinated them as a Templar or an assassin is going to get a little bit murky, and then you start getting tied into political stuff, and now you have to, like... The Templars, to this point, aren't Nazis. So, at least I've read a lot of their lore before. I'm pretty sure they're not Nazis. So, like... After that, mostly because media literacy has been rotted in most of our brains, pretty much all of our brains, even I'm bad at it sometimes now. Because media literacy has been rotted in a lot of our brains, there's not going to be enough room for the nuance of, like, what the Templars are trying to achieve. And the fact that, and, like, an assassin, like, it would be way too complicated to do. So I understand why we've stopped at the Industrial Revolution in England.
Which is fine.
I will explain my issues in parts. It's the only way I can keep my mind straight. 1. The sun is doing something. We have taken Desmond's sacrifice from Assassin's Creed 3 and just ruined it. I guess we don't care anymore. Sean and Rebecca are back. Rebecca's alive, which is nice, because you wouldn't know that unless you play this game. Yeah, Desmond's sacrifice didn't work, and his whole death was meaningless. 2. Miscommunication is a lazy trope. Instead of keeping secrets, Sigurd should have confided in Eivor. Dag has no reason to be upset with Eivor because Sigurd literally left them in charge. Everyone is helping because of Sigurd. Sigurd also never helps you in any of the conquests, like any of them at all, ever. And then he spends half the game kidnapped. Eivor has no reason to trust Sigurd because I get the impression that this is the first time he's really kept secrets from them. Sigurd just expects trust and loyalty but doesn't come home or reign in Dag. One small thing, just make the protagonist a man or a woman or a they. All of this choosing nonsense, like, because I understand that the reason they don't do that is because you will lose a hefty majority of the male audience if they have to play as a woman. Oh my god. But those same men will drool over Bayonetta. Like, just make, like, why, we don't need to be in between all of this stuff. 3, the third act fails so hard. If you don't do the Asgard arc, then Basim's betrayal makes 0 sense. Like, what? I'm also curious how, like, the real world stuff is gonna work, what with, you know, Basim's betrayal and all of that.
Isn't Mirage supposed to be about Basim?
Yes, he's the playable character.
Oh, brother.
But at the end of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, he takes Layla's place as the playable character in the present. We'll talk about it when Mirage comes out, because, yeah, spoilers ahead. So Eivor is Odin, Sigurd is Tyr, and Basim is Loki. Basim is the only one who knows this, and he attacks Eivor and Sigurd for killing his kids or whatever. In the actual mythology, Loki's son Fenrir is what starts Ragnarok. Because he
dies.
No, but what does Fenrir do specifically? Because Fenrir comes into the city, and Odin doesn't like that. So he has Fenrir imprisoned with an unbreakable chain, and Loki is tied to a rock with snake venom dripping on his face. His wife is holding the pan. Whenever she has to empty the pan, that's when fucking earthquakes happen. Something specifically happens that sets off Ragnarok, and like...
Fenrir eats Balder.
That's how Ragnarok happens. And like all of Loki's children die, which I don't actually think is true. I don't think Hela's dead, but she's also the queen of Hell, so...
Jormungandr's also never dead because...
Yes, he is.
Oh, I thought
he and Thor kill each other.
Oh, I thought because he's just stuck in that loop.
No, Thor fights Jormungandr, and Thor kills Jormungandr, but Jormungandr's venom kills Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can I just go on a quick tangent?
Sure, well, I find my spot.
So, for people who play Data Boy, also known as God of War 4, also known as God of War 2018. The key thing is, like, is it 16 or 18?
It's 2018.
So, when you get the Leviathan axe back from Snack Boy, because he is a boy, and he's nice.
Excuse me.
It says Aether imbued. Aether is the venom that makes it so that you're able to harm Thor. So if you look at...
That's why at the beginning of God of War Ragnarok and throughout that entire game, Thor's gash that Kratos gave him doesn't heal.
Exactly. That is the only thing that Thor has received so far that doesn't heal.
Yeah. Eivor and Sigurd have no clue what the hell Bossum is talking about. Why does Bossum remember? Which I guess is going to be expanded upon in Mirage. If you never play the Asgard arc, it won't make sense. And I played part of the Asgard arc, and it still didn't make sense. Yeah, the fight with Odin also makes no sense. Because you end up Eivor ends up fighting Odin in, like, that animus-y place. But it's not an actual fight. Because unlike at the beginning of Devil May Cry 5, where it is clear that you are outmatched, you can hit Odin. He doesn't have a health bar, but you can hit him.
Stop hitting yourself.
It was not made clear to me until I Googled it that you're supposed to die. You're supposed to let your health go all the way down. The reason it works in Devil May Cry 5 is because you are clearly outmatched. And once you replay that game again, there's like I don't want to call it a secret, but there's like a special ending where you can defeat Urizen in the first fight.
I'm gonna be real,
it's very clear in Devil May Cry 5 that you are outmatched.
I just can't. I was drinking while playing this game because I'm like, let me think if it is like another edition of Skyrim.
The Asgard...
I got up until the end of the tutorial.
Oh, also, sorry, quick fun fact about Odyssey. My sister came into the room and asked me what I was playing, and she asked me if I was playing Cameo. Cameo came out in 2008, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but as I couldn't make it past the tutorial, I'm out. I'm out.
Like, oh my god. Basim also wants to find his kids in the modern era, which also doesn't make any sense. He stands over... They found Eivor's bones, that's why we're all here. He stands over Eivor's bones and is like, look who won now. And it's like, what are you talking about? You win what? Living? And if you find your kids, then what? Now what? How are you so sure that they're even still alive? The main character being a fake Viking isn't the same as a fake pirate. Edward could accept a pardon. Eivor's future is most certainly a destroyed legacy, and I will explain why later. Also, the Grand Master of the Order has lived twice in a row in the canon now. Also, in this game, he's King Alfred. King Alfred, I believe, is his name. Like, what? Whatever. Number 5, I'm not for Sigurd. I hate Sigurd because, as stated previously, miscommunication is a lazy trope to me. It's my most hated trope. Just talk to them. This person has been with you like your entire life, and they are your friend, and you're just going to sit here and... Oh my god. Whatever. Eivor also says that there's no honor in being an assassin. So Eivor's not an assassin. This is the second main story game. This is the second game that we have where the main character, the playable character, is not an assassin. Like, I just... Sigurd is the only wrong one. He's not there enough for their relationship to feel real. Sigurd and Basim aren't sympathetic. Eivor is way too loyal for all of this secret keeping. It inhibits Eivor's ability to make rational decisions. But, like, Sigurd is still upset if you punch Basim, even though neither of them are giving them answers. Jacob was an ass, like Sigurd is, but he'd never abandon Evie or Henry. Like... He also shared the rooks with her. Dag is upset the entire game, which is so stupid. And also, about Randvi, like, did she cheat on Sigurd? Yes. did she get married to this man in an arranged marriage and then he left like for 3 years raiding? Yes. Was Eivor around? Also, yes. And like, I don't condone cheating. I really, really don't. But in 872, I understand where Randvi is coming from. Her husband hasn't been a husband. They had sex once and then he left. Like, one last small thing. I play Eivor very even and level-headed. Clearly the canon didn't call for that because Eivor will still act like a hothead. Now again, I don't make video games. I cannot tell you if the gameplay needs to be improved. However, I have played every major release of this video game and also Aveline's game. Let me at minimum make this an Assassin's Creed game. Whether or not it's good is irrelevant. Let me make it an Assassin's Creed game. Everything in the start of the game is fine, as before. It's perfectly fine. There needs to be a confrontation between Sigurd and Eivor. If Sigurd doesn't care, neither does Eivor. Sigurd's dream is a pipe, and he's too secretive. Dag's constant harassment was also wearing at them. So Eivor leaves, because Sigurd is not telling them everything they want to hear, and Dag is telling them that they want Sigurd's place, when that's clearly not what they friggin' want. Oh my god. Hytham ends up finding Eivor. And Hytham is like, hey, I know you don't want to work with your brother, but just work with me and kill the Order members because they will be a problem no matter whether your brother wins or not. And Eivor's like, you know what? Fine. I mean, it's very shadowy. It's not the same as being a Viking, but at least I'll feel like I'm making a difference. Yeah. So then, Randvi and Dag find Eivor because they need them, because they need him, or her, whatever. They need Eivor because Sigurd has been kidnapped, and Fulke is an Order member. Eivor and Hytham know that. Bossum does not, because he doesn't even know that in the game. His lack of research. Randvi is mad at Eivor for leaving, but gets it. Eivor still believes the Hidden Ones have no glory, but they know that it's something bigger than themselves. When they find Sigurd, Eivor decides to stay. The Grand Master isn't a historical figure. You can make it Fulke if you want. Eivor is an official assassin, and the Order members are harassing their allies that you get along the way, which is how you end up killing every single one of them. So there's less of them now. Eivor gains their trust and helps to get rid of the harassing Order members. Again, it's not great, but it's an Assassin's Creed game. This game is the most egregious break in historical accuracy. The story is way too diluted. Cassandra's section is boring. This game has parts that will not make sense without the previous entry. And in the end, my power level was 325 with very little extra stuff after 79 hours of play. Remember how I mentioned as well that Eivor's legacy as a Viking is a destroyed legacy? That's because the year is 871. In a couple of centuries, William's gonna show up, and then none of it, like, it's not that it won't matter, but none of this is going to matter. Your kingdom, Eivor and Sigurd, isn't going to matter once William shows up and says there will be one king now. And then there was. I swear to Christ, like... Do you want to come back for the reflection now?
There's a reflection?
Yeah, and then conclusion. I'm not turning this shit off.
No.
I've resurrected him.
I'm alive, yay.
First things first. Why is there only one canon told to us, even though the studio was like, choose your own adventure? There's only one canon. It's not bad for a game to not be a choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure is annoying. In Valhalla, it's a little bit better because you can't choose if Sigurd stays. Your decisions will decide if Sigurd stays or not. Like... But in Odyssey, you could still fight Deimos if you chose to. I don't know. Yeah. Only 6 choices matter in Valhalla.
Yep.
Not being an assassin is absolutely ridiculous. We aren't the one thing that the series is about. Assassins. Second, assassins always stand outside of historical events. Their creed transcends history. Eivor's Viking conquest will mean nothing in 193 years when William shows up. You aren't required to do the hit. You aren't required to do the hit in one's quest either. Like, you can finish it. I finished it, but you aren't required to do it. And also, you don't kill the Grandmaster. Jesus Christ. Think of Connor, right? Why did Connor become an assassin? Because he wanted to protect his family.
Yep.
Did it backfire? Yes. But did he realize that the conflict between the Templars and the assassin was bigger than himself, so he became an assassin full-time and didn't follow his family out west? Yes. That's why Connor's a better man than Eivor is. Jesus Christ. Eivor's efforts will mean nothing, and the game that means nothing to the whole story, to the whole continuity as a whole. Shouldn't make any significant strides in the game. That's the thing. Odyssey and Valhalla aren't Assassins games because they aren't about assassins, and they also make no significant strides in the Creed.
Yep.
Layla dies after only 3 games. Do you even really remember Layla?
She's this annoying bitch.
I'm not too sure how others feel about her, but between her and Basim, I miss Desmond.
No, between her and her, I miss Desmond.
No, because I don't like Basim either. Between her and Basim, I miss Desmond.
I didn't even get to Basim.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god. Layla's conflict is not sympathetic. I don't care. A lot of the stuff I've already mentioned, so I'm just like reading over my notes trying to figure this out.
Because like there's all that 2012 shit going on.
Which was fine. It was a stupid gimmick and it was a meme, but like at least it was something. I'm sure they didn't plan it that way, but then by Brotherhood, it's fine. Bayek and Aya was for the player with Layla shoehorned? What?
Oh, Layla was shoehorned in.
Yeah, Layla was shoehorned on top of it. And then she starts working with the assassins. For what? Why did Layla start working with them? And how is Basim gonna find his kids? The assassins have their own agenda. If Eivor is Odin reincarnated, how does Basim know that the cycle didn't just continue and that Odin is still out there reincarnated? Does he want to kill every reincarnation of Odin? What? Does Eivor have kids? How did Eivor die? How did Eivor end up in America?
Let Kratos handle that.
If Eivor is dead, then how does he know? How does Basim know that his kids aren't? Basim also isn't a very good assassin. How did he not know that folk? I think that's because that's like a relic of like older Assassin's Creed games where all of the all of the Order members for the Templars just know the names of assassins.
Yeah.
Like, if he had done even a little bit of research, Sigurd wouldn't have been kidnapped by Folke. I don't like Basim. And lastly, I went over how many hours the game is compared to the first game. Let me tell you why. We are in a difficult landscape of gaming. I believe that the core of games can be maintained without an inflated hour count.
Mm-hmm.
There is I want you to guess. What percentage increase do you think there is from the first game to this game?
As in, like, story or 100%?
100%. In content. So, 100%. Give me a guess percentage.
I'm guessing at least 700 to 800%.
Wow, you overestimated, actually. There's a 400.6% increase in content. Now that's a lot. And you might say to yourself, but, I don't know what y'all call me. Simple reviews. But you might say to yourself, simple reviews. It's been a decade. How could there not be some significant jump in content? Okay. Base game with before the live service crap, there was a 1% increase in content. Now you may think, no wait, hang on. Base game before Halo. Base game before the live service content. Between games, there was a 1% increase from Halo Combat Evolved to, I think this was Halo 5. 1%. Now you may say to yourself, that's not an RPG game. That's not a fair comparison. From Morrowind to Skyrim, there's a 2% decrease in content. And I'm pretty sure that's more than a decade.
Yep.
Because didn't Morrowind come out in like 95? And Skyrim came out in 2011. So it was at minimum a decade.
2011 and 2012 and 2013.
Shut up. I feel like they wanted killing Demos to impact the family theme, which it didn't. Especially because you don't have to do that. We spend less and less time. We spend less time with Ezio's dad and brothers, and every time I watch it, it's just like, The first time I watched it, I gasped. It was like, oh, this is like a fun little assassin family game. Cool. And then it wasn't.
All just went, whoa, 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 whoa,
And
really
then it
quickly.
wasn't. And then I had to run, and it was like, what is happening? And now we're getting revenge, and then we find out that it's bigger than that, and...
I'm just like, why didn't Dad tell us? Why didn't Dad tell me?
And then there's a line later in the game for Assassin's Creed 2 where he's like, I've spent like 40 years... Not 40. He's not 60 yet. He spent like 20 years hunting down the killers of his brothers and father, and he's trying to figure out if it's all worth it, and it's... Oh my god! Like... Demos' death isn't nearly as impactful, especially because it doesn't have to happen. These games have changed. These two games have changed the series. I thought forever, but I guess not. The three games, and play differently, and the last two's heavy Isu influence was really annoying. Unless we retcon them out of existence, like X-Men: The Last Stand. This will probably influence the rest of the series. Even not talking about gameplay for like the story, this is going to influence the rest of the series. Except Origins. Origins doesn't need to be retconned out of existence.
Yeah, I personally feel like if they retcon the Isu and kept the fragments of Eden...
Most people I've seen also hate the Isu stuff. Most of the fans hate the Isu stuff.
The reason I hate the Isu stuff is because if you're doing that, you're going for an entirely different game that isn't Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. What is the theme of Assassin's Creed? And I want you to say it in Vin Diesel's voice.
I don't remember how he says it. What's his...
There are so many of those fucking movies.
Yeah, just family.
Because all of these games tie back to family. Even the first one, fucking Altair, his story, not the first game. Altair loses his wife and his youngest son to the Order and tells his son to go live your life and be with your family when he eventually dies. Ezio also loses his family because of the Order, but then he's able to find happiness somewhat in his older years. Connor loses his whole family because of his actions, not because of the Assassin Order necessarily. It's sort of an indirect correlation, but yeah. Edward's wife died while he was away, and then he met his daughter, and his son became a Templar, and then Hatham's son became an assassin.
Yep.
In Assassin's Creed Unity, Arno's dad was killed by Shay, and then Arno's like de facto family, all of them get killed.
Yep.
Syndicate is literally about twins.
And their dead dad.
It's not so much about him, but like it gets mentioned.
But
it's part of their conflict.
It's the parts of their very, very shallow character that they derive from their dead dad.
Yeah, well, it's not super shallow. I don't think it's super shallow. And then Origins.
Literally family.
Origins happens because their son dies. And technically Odyssey happens because of Deimos, and Valhalla happens because of Sigurd. They fit within the theme. That's about it.
I thought Odyssey happens because some idiot yelled at you up on a roof.
And then I guess the next game is probably gonna... Because I haven't watched any of the promotional shit. I watched one trailer and that's it. I guess the next game is probably gonna be about Basim finding his family, his children. Which, alright, I guess. How do you know your wife didn't reincarnate, dude? How does he know these things? I get the impression that Mirage is going to be about him realizing that he's Loki. That doesn't make any sense. I should wait until the game comes out in October. Doesn't make any sense. These two videos were a lot. What?
With the hope moving forward that there were lots of tweets and potential leak-ish tweets coming out saying that the upcoming game is at least 60% smaller.
Which is nice. The running is very reminiscent of Unity, someone said.
I would certainly hope so, because I can't do another one like the previous two.
Don't get me wrong, Odyssey is the worst game. If I had to choose at gunpoint one of those games, I would choose Valhalla.
Yes, because Valhalla does improve on some technical aspects. I don't know what happened, but it's kind of like their storytelling person. From Origins to Odyssey to Valhalla.
Like they took a vacation in the middle game.
Literally just... I hope they don't have dementia.
You know what the problem is? It's the fact that these games are all developed together. Origins was started in Origins was started after Black Flag, and then the following year is when development of Valhalla started.
And like what? Origins was Quebec, right?
No, I think Origins was the Golden Team.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember, like, one of them was, maybe I said like Montreal Go Home or something, like Go Home You're Drunk.
Please remember that all of this is an opinion.
Yeah.
If you're respectful and want to engage about it, maybe you see something in the games that I don't. I'm not saying that I'm not one of those people. You're not a bad person if you like Odyssey or Valhalla. You really aren't. I just need everybody to level their criticism in the form of the entire series, because that's how I'm reviewing these games. The entire series, not Odyssey, because Odyssey by itself is just a fun adventure game. If Ubisoft had just released that, took off the Assassin's Creed stuff, that would be I probably wouldn't be as angry.
Well, I mean, it's still super, super bloated.
Yeah, it's still bloated.
Yeah.
And that non-existent third act as well.
Yeah.
There are no ending credit sequence in that. There's also not a title card. I miss the title cards. Yeah. I hope Mirage has one.
I'm pretty sure it will, because they are saying Return to Form. Personally, just regarding the whole series, I've been thrown for a loop multiple times, and I feel like if I had still thoroughly played all the games, I would have still been thrown for a loop multiple times. I almost feel like I'm not that mad because I haven't played 4, I haven't really played 3. Y'all heard, I haven't really played Valhalla at all.
When I first played 1 and I got to the end and the twist happened at the end with his mentor, and I was like, what the hell? I've been doing all this shit for you and you betray me like this? Father, please.
No, I kind of saw it coming a little bit, but when they still did it, I'm like, this is well done.
Yeah. You get back to Masyaf and everybody's just silent, and it's like, alright, I don't like this.
Yep.
I think let the series go. I honestly do. If Mirage does not do numbers, let the series go, dude.
But that's the problem. They're not only working on Mirage, they're working on...
VR games never do numbers the way they want.
No, they're working on the live series game as well. They're working on, Nexus, Project Jade, which is either in China or in Japan. They're working...
Same problem as before.
They had a demo for the Japanese part of the game.
Same problem as before. All of these games get developed at the same time by the same studios, multiple, and they're stretched thin. Because I bet you any amount of money, if Mirage is fantastic, those other games are gonna suck.
Yeah, because you can only have one A team.
Yeah.
Unless you're Santa Monica Studios.
I think let the series go. Just let it die. Or Insomniac.
Please. Or Insomniac, because you are the A team then.
Please just let it die. The RPG series format is lore breaking. There are people out here who don't know the canon and had to Google it. Like, let the series go.
The other reason I agree with let the series go is because they're trying to shoehorn these Isu shits in again and again. I'm like, we can tell you want to make a different game. We can tell. Okay, George R.R. Martin, we can tell you don't want to write this anymore. You don't want to do this anymore. Just do something else.
Now, when I post this, it's probably going to be like early to mid-September. Which means we are a month away from the release of Mirage. And I have pre-ordered the game. I'm not going to the midnight release. I have pre-ordered the game. So, I will say this. And I think I said in the last video too, or at least in the introduction of the last video, I got one more full-priced Assassin's Creed game in me. If this game is not fantastic, I'm done. I'm not playing another one. I'm not even going to watch a playthrough of another one. I have one more in me, and then that's it. Like, I want more creativity. I want to play an assassin becoming a Templar. I want to play a Templar who's trying to figure out how to navigate being an assassin. I think that would be pretty fun. Or just let the series end at some point. I miss when things ended. Aren't we on like Call of Duty version 17 now?
No, we're on them remakes now.